All right, everybody, welcome to the Sunday Show. This is Arsenal Fan Circle, and wanted to say, pull up. There we go. I always do that. Pull up the chair. Everybody's welcome, and we've formed a circle here. I think it's representative. I keep saying it's representative of the Arsenal fan base. We have the optimistic crew, you could say, are in right now. Waiting for the pessimistic ones to arrive. Myself, Stan, and Matt are. I'd say we're on the what do you want to say? The optimistic side of the line, Stan.
Yeah, um, there does seem to be a lot of anxious activity in certain parts of our fan base. But as I've always said, man, I just wait until that window slams shut and I know what we have to hold.
Yeah, and as with everything, Matt, as Stan has said, you can't really make a full judgment on anything until you have all of the facts in front of you. And when the window closes, the facts will be laid bare in front of us, and we'll see what the window had looked like.
Yeah, definitely. How many times do you see tweets going out after the first week of the window saying, what a shambles, what a mess? And then 2 weeks later, or a day later, they're swallowing the words because it's something they didn't know was happening gets announced, like the Vieira deal or something like that. So I think sometimes sitting tight, letting them do their business, let them get on with it, and then make a judgment once the window slams shut is probably the best way. But you can't help it as fans, can you? Because you're going to get nervous and a bit anxious when you especially towards the end of the window, when you start thinking, oh, we still need this player or we still need that player and we haven't closed that deal, or but you just don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You just have to trust that these guys are doing what we hope they are, and then like I say, make a judgment when it slams shut. And I think it's fairly positive at the moment. I think there are things going on that we're not really necessarily aware of. They're quite good at keeping things quiet by the looks of things, and that's never a bad thing because everybody else likes to hijack deals. So, yeah.
As with everything, you can debate things, and you can make the debate favor you in terms of your optimistic point of view. But if you're going to be pessimistic, of course, there's work that needs to be done with Arsenal. Edu's got to stop grilling a little bit and start bringing some players in, closing the deal, as it were. So welcome Nerdscape in the house. Mr. Tom's here. The assembled BX Gunner, DWTT's just posted something. I'll be joining soon if Ray lets me. Yeah, I will let you in the door, of course. And who did I miss out? Anyone else? But yeah, listen, Nerdscape's here as well. BX Gunner wants to know where's the booze. He's arrived on the flight, and Tony.
There's mine, my friend. There's mine.
Tony is the hostess with the mostess, and he serves the cocktails and he serves the booze on the flight. So we're gonna have to wait for Tony, wait for Gary, and of course wait for Mahir to come in as well.
And if anybody needs any duty free, just give me a shout. I've got a nice line of watches.
A nice line of watches. Okay, couldn't have been booze, but it had to be watches. Okay. Afternoon, evening, everyone. The assemble is here. Evening, chaps. What do you think of the Conte rumors? Let's start with that, Stan, then.
I think it's probably about 3 years too late for me. for I think that for me that one sailed. He's on what is he on? Somewhere between 300,000 to 400,000 a week. So it's going to be a lot of money, and I think his best days are slightly behind him now. I think Kante will be lucky if we can get the same amount of appearances from him that we get from Kieran Tierney. So I just think it's a little bit too late on that one for me.
Yeah, listen, as I put, for Tony's benefit, I try to make the show description as long as possible, Matt. You know that. I told you about that. Because Tony hates
it's great to wind Tony up. It's great to wind him up.
Just when Tony dislikes something, it's like I'm like a kid. I'm going to do the exact opposite. So in the show description, we have to get away from signing Chelsea old age citizens. And we've done that a little bit with Manchester City. We've actually signed a proper citizen from Manchester City. See what I did there? And he's in his prime. He's 25 years old and about to come into the best years of life in Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, we're heading in a different direction now. We're going for youth. We're going for the future. Yes, we need experienced players. But, we've got that in Jesus, for example. You can get experience without hitting the 31, 32-year-old mark, especially as Stan says, he's a great player, don't get me wrong. But like you say, you're not going to get a huge amount of games out of him because of his injury record. It's not great. He's 31. What benefit would there be, particularly like you say on the wages he's likely to be on? It just doesn't, from any angle, that deal doesn't really seem to make sense when you've got players like Tillemans and all of the guys that we've been linked with, even as Zinchenko, who can kind of play both left back and in the middle. You just think, why would we bother? Why would we go there? I can't see why that would make sense at all. So yeah, hopefully not. We're not a retirement home for Chelsea pensioners anymore. Let's get that done. No more. No thanks.
Yeah, just to expand on that a little bit, Stan, and a lot of people in the comments saying the same thing. No way on Kante.
I think what Matt said there as well, right at the end, of all of the things that we've said about wages and his fitness levels at the moment, I think that the actual optics of it would not sit well on the back of what happened with Willian. It would appear, I think, that if we did that we would be making a backward step and that we didn't learn anything from the Willian deal. So hopefully Mikel Arteta, it's just clickbait and Mikel Arteta is not even considering it.
So the other thing, Stan, is, okay, we've taken a good player from Manchester City in Gabriel Jesus, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if we're taking a player like Kante, are we admitting we're a step below Chelsea then?
Yeah, I mean, it's different with Jesus because he's still on an upward trajectory with his career.
Yeah.
He's only just turned 25, whereas you could say that Kante's already been to the top of the mountain. He's now coming down the other side. And we don't want to be giving out, comfortable slippers and, dressing gowns with the initials on so they can sit by the pool and just relax, and look at their phones. That's not what we should be about.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not do Kante, but let's look around in other places. So, Matt, the title of the podcast here, I was thinking about this. A rising tide lifts all boats, and I sent the title to Mahir. It was basically, hey, Jesus and Mo on Sundays. So he had a bit of a chuckle about that. But the main title here is A Rising Tide Lifts All Boats. So the intent of this is you bring in better players and they're going to lift the whole team. And we saw that with the 5-3 friendly, the preseason win over FC Nuremberg.
It is biblical, isn't it, when you got Jesus and Mohamed in the team? It has got. It's just tickles me a little bit, and I think it probably does with the fan base, to be honest.
It's very biblical.
What's that?
It's very biblical.
Yes,
it is absolutely biblical, isn't it? Like the headlines write themselves, don't they? But yeah, no, it's great. Obviously, it wasn't great when I was getting the notifications on my phone that we were 1-0 down and 2-0 down. I thought, oh, hello, here we go. And then obviously what happened. But El Neni, an absolute screamer. He doesn't score simple goals. And I know they obviously discussed that in the post-match interview, and he had a bit of a wry smile because he doesn't ever score tap-ins, does he? It's an absolute thunderbolt from distance. I'm just hoping he can actually get a couple of those during the season. But Jesus, wow. What we've been missing that. You just see the immediate, 90 seconds when he came on?
Yeah.
The runs he was making, the movement, he could see exactly where he needed to link up and who with. We just weren't getting that with Laka. He offered us different things, but it just goes to show, someone with a bit of pace, bit of movement, a bit of nous, in and around the box, that bit of experience, that pace, etc. He's going to benefit a lot from that, and we are as well this season, because I think he's going to get a really decent tally this year. If he plays like that, and I know it's only, pre-season friendly, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but if you just look at it from a pure movement kind of being able to fit in with the team, what Arteta wants him to do and what we're trying to get from him, he showed that already, and he's hitting the ground running. And the finishing, he's already equaled Lacazette's non-penalty goal scoring tally within something like one half of football. So, yeah, he's going to do great things for us, I think.
Mr. Tom is saying we are a step below Chelsea, but we don't want to actually admit that or confirm that. And this season has to be a time where we're going to challenge Chelsea and Tottenham as well for that top 4 spot. Mahir, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Sunday show,
Mahir.
Hey, my guys, to the lift and the host.
And
Family, what
do
is
the
going
diagonal
on
one?
with everybody?
Yes, yeah.
Diagonal? No? Okay. So Mahir, since you are here, We want to wish everybody a happy Eid Mubarak.
Absolutely. Everybody that celebrated Eid, all the Muslim people that celebrated Eid over the weekend. Ray, you were very funny with that voice note. Ray asks me, are you sure it isn't a 3-day festival? I said, a festival for 3 days. It was yesterday in Saudi Arabia. Basically, what it is we're celebrating. There's a story of one of the prophets. So he was commanded. Actually, I'm just gonna tell you a quick story about the basis of this Eid, so you guys know. So he was commanded by God to sacrifice his son, and his son was even
Abraham.
given the command. Yeah, it's Abraham. I don't know.
It's
Isa
Abraham,
alayhi
isn't it,
salam.
that has to sacrifice his son?
Yeah. And then as he was about to, because I mean it's the command of God, he was replaced by a goat. And that's why today you see a lot of slaughtering actually. And they say with actually every drop of blood that you see get slaughtered, every drop of blood is a sin removed. So yeah, man, that's imagine how much, and you know how much blood is inside a normal person. Imagine it's the same like in an animal. So yeah, man, guys. Eid
All right.
Mubarak to all the
We
Muslims,
want to wish
all our Muslim
everybody
subscribers.
who's celebrating a happy Eid, and it's not 3 days. Okay, I've been told. But my here, 2 goals from Gabriel Jesus, 1 from Mo Neni, and another 2 goals from some guy called OG. I think the original gangster, we should sign him up. Edu should go get him as well. 2 goals.
Yeah, I heard it's quite intense. He's quite an intense striker there.
All right.
But yeah, guys, I don't know if we discussed. Did you guys say anything about the Muhammad and Jesus together jokes?
Yeah.
I was a little bit, yes, I was saying that a little bit.
Really, man? Oh, yeah.
Well, there's going to be quite a few biblical references. So, yeah. Anyway,
Gary.
Hello, everyone. Sorry.
Bye, Gary.
Right there.
How are we doing?
it always does seem like the optimistic. I know you're like Arsenal. You're Arsenal in, Gary, but it does seem like the optimistic crew are on top and the pessimistic crew on the bottom.
As it should
The way it
be.
works out. But anyway.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of day today, huh, Stan?
Yeah.
Gary.
Hey,
Gary, if we do like this,
I got the youngster on my side, Stan. So all I have to do is they're just going to run circles around you and you're just going to fall over.
Mate, you're nothing without Tony backing you up. Got you on your own now.
Yeah.
Tony's not here to
Gary,
help.
the Gary Tony tandem, the alliance that is Gary Tony.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It's a good one.
Everybody
It's
in the
not that
chat,
Tony.
hello.
It's not that Tony and Gary are friends. It's just a case that they both like to keep their enemies close to themselves. That's what it is. Better the devil you know, right?
Yeah,
Keep
for sure. I'm
your
not
enemies
surprised by
close.
what he says or does. So there you
Keep your
go.
friends closer and your enemies closer. Isn't that what they say?
There you go.
So listen, Gary, title of the podcast, A Rising Tide Lifts All Boats. It's actually a JFK, it's an economic saying, but I'm taking it for Gabriel Jesus. He's going to raise the levels of our players around him.
Yeah. And, that's been what I've wanted all transfer window. Anybody that comes in has to be better than somebody we got in our squad. He seems to be the best. He's going to be the best tackle we've got. So that's got to be a plus for us. So if everybody else improves, which we expect, I'm loving it. I want more of that.
Gary, Gary Tony or the Trip Boys coming to a movie near you.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's a good trip or a bad trip.
Hey, you know what?
You're
They're
just
all there.
tripping.
You get the gambit, man. Get all versions. No trip is the same. No
Good
trip is
trip,
the
bad
best
trip.
or the worst. So
Or
there
just
you go.
tripping out there. Or trippy A.
There's only one side of this thing getting trippy. Let's just say that, and you know where that's going.
Matt, just to continue on, Gabriel Jesus is going to raise the level, show the squad the kind of quality that they need to bring their game up to. And I feel Mohamed El Neni is going to show if he don't have the ability, and he does have ability, he's also got a work ethic to add to that.
Yeah, El Neni, look, we've all said this, I think, that we appreciate him. He's not the
Not a
absolutely
troublemaker.
world class. Yeah, he's not a world beater. He's not going to write any headlines as such, and he's not going to set the world on fire. But he's a very, very solid, very reliable midfielder who you can call upon. It doesn't matter if he's not played for 20 games. He won't make a fuss. He'll come in, do a good job at every opportunity you give him, and that's what you need. He's always professional, always positive. He's a great role model, I think, for the other younger players in the team, in terms of his work ethic and professionalism. So he's really, really, really useful member of the team, and I'm glad that we've still got him. I'm glad that he's signed a new contract. I think that was a wise move. Yeah. He never does a bad job for us. So, and like you say, if he can score, if he can maybe set a tally to score maybe 3 or 4 of those thunderbolts a season, then I'll be more than happy with that. But yeah, Jesus, you like we were saying a moment ago, 90 seconds on the pitch, and he showed exactly what he's all about. Linking up really well with new teammates, getting in there straight away, understands what Arteta wants from him. And I think obviously that he benefits, I think, from having worked with him before, because I think he knows exactly already before even coming to the club what Arteta's likely to need from him. And he looks hungry. He looks like he wants to be the main man. He wants to be bagging goals, and he looks like he's up for it. So, yeah, to go and grab 2 goals on your debut in the second half of a preseason friendly is never a bad thing. So, yeah, really, really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Although, Matt, I must say, we shouldn't let's not get too gassed about
No.
It's lovely to watch football again, and everybody obviously a lot of people have watched the game because they're excited for the new season. But let's just not get too gassed just yet. I want Gabriel to bang, and the other thing is Mo El Neni only scores worldies. Yes, sir.
Hey,
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing for me. If they're not going to do it against Nuremberg, then how would you expect them to do it against anybody else in the world?
Exactly.
So the fact that we're doing it is good because it's almost like a practice for us, right? Even though we don't want to belittle them, but these are practice for us. So if we're doing it like this, at least we know it can be done when they see the move, right? When they have, because they're not going to get as much time on the ball like Martinelli had, right? When he put that cross in there, that's like he had nobody around him. That's never going to happen. So for me, they know that the players are going to make the run, and they just know they need to get the ball from out of their feet quickly because the run's coming, and they got somebody that can finish. So for me, I'll take it. It's a good sign because we haven't seen it before. Think about all the other preseason games that you've seen. For 45 minutes, they did not look anything like this. When's the last time you've seen 45 minutes where you go, cool, we got a plan and we can actually see it working. So I'm going to take it's a positive, but we want it again, right?
Yeah.
Show me more. Show me more.
There's no wrong answers when it comes to preseason. We lose a game, the game's about fitness, and if we win a game, the game is still about fitness, and it's about bringing everybody's fitness levels up to probably 80-85% because the demands that are placed on professional footballers now, Stan, you never see players hitting the ground first game of the season. Although we do want to be close to that level because it's Crystal Palace away. It's gotten more and more. The top players have more and more on their plate. They play more and more football. 10, 15 years ago, you could have a preseason with less demands and be more close to 100% on the first day of the season. They probably want us to be about 80, 85, 90% fitness level when it comes to Crystal Palace away.
I mean, I've not actually watched the friendly. I've seen maybe highlights of 3 minutes, notwithstanding the goals that Gabriel Jesus chipped in with. For me, I don't really take any notice of pre-season at all, to be fair. I might have a look if we've got a new player playing to see a shiny new toy, to see what they're about. But these are just tune-up games. And I put this out on Twitter the other day. It's like, and this is just from observations that I saw of Arsenal, section of our fan base. If you say something like, look at that scoreline. Our defense was a bit shit today. Then you see people jumping back at them and telling them that it's only a tune-up game for a friendly, and to stop making a big deal about it. But then if someone puts out about how superb the goals were, and then someone else comes in and goes, well, you know, it's just a tune-up game, they get rounded on and told that they're negative, and then they've got some kind of an agenda. So you can't win. For me, I don't take any notice of these pre-seasons. I can remember a few pre-seasons ago where Eddie Nketiah was banging in goals for fun.
Yeah.
Everything he touched was going in the back of the net. But when the season started, he was unable to translate that into the league.
Yeah.
So it sounds like one of some
My dog
hostages
just
are
wants
trying
to-
to
He
escape.
wants me to walk over to him, and he'll just take off down the stairs.
Is that
I
Tony?
always,
Is that
I
Tony
always
you've got
hear-
there?
I always hear Stefan's comment that time was placate the dog. Gary, placate the dog.
He's standing at the top of the stairs, and then he walks back in, looks at me, whines, and as soon as I step to him, down the steps, and I'm like, just go.
It is Tony there. Sounds like it.
No, I hear all the comments. I think they're all valid though, because I think the first half, those were players that, do we keep them or do we let them go? And guess what? Most of them failed.
Yep.
So like it's a job interview for that first 45 minutes. It's a job interview for a lot of those players.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep them? Show me. I know it's preseason, but guess what? What else you got to look at? You coming into the season? Have you prepared mentally, physically, and all of that coming into the season? Because your job's on the line. And they failed. A lot of them did not show up. I mean, for me, you look at that back line, and I'm like, well, Walters, who is that guy? Well, guess what? He's the one that stood out in the back line. Marie did not pass the test.
That's
Hello.
telltale
so
sign.
I get it's preseason, but it's a job interview for some of these guys. It's like, do I need to go out and find a replacement, or do I have a player that I can use? Arteta, I believe, deals with trust. He needs to have confidence and trust in his players, and that first half did not show some of that. Right? Yeah. I think he put trust in Gabriel Jesus, and he saw exactly what I think he paid for. Right?
Yeah.
You know. And so I think that's why the preseason. I think you can't turn it off and on for me. It's always got to be on, because guess what? You never know when the opportunity is going to come. So I kind of look at it more as these are job interviews, right? You're always on. Somebody's always looking.
I will just qualify that in preseason. If you have a young player who's trying to impress and get into the first team, then you have to be always on. If
everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that.
You want Gabriel Jesus to be on 100%.
He's going to show you stuff, glimpses. Yes, yes, you do.
I don't want him injured. No,
you don't want him injured, but you need to go. He's not taking a step back. I mean, everybody needs to come into preseason where once the whistle's blown for the regular season, it's not a big jump for them, right? I don't believe you can just turn it on. It's got to be mentally there the whole time. He's not playing for 90 minutes in preseason, so you give me a good 30 minutes out the 45, I know, all right, we're good, right?
Sure.
That's what you want to see, right? That's why I think, Tierney got the 30 minutes. Is this? Let's see where he's at. He's not there yet, right? Yeah. But we know he's got it because we've seen it before.
So do we take the viewpoint that injuries will happen, and if Gabriel Jesus is playing for 45 minutes, he should go for everything, go for it all.
I didn't want to.
In a preseason game,
most people don't. That's how they play, and that's how they. They don't half step when they get on the pitch, right? And that's when the coach has to hold them back and go, you know what? He's going to give me 45, so I'm only going to give him 30 because I know, and that's when you know your players, right? Some players you can't say, all right, can you just tone it down, 25%? And some players,
Bellerin can say that.
The trick for me is being able to turn it back on again, and not everybody can do that. So
Jack said, "Afternoon, gents. The midfield combination for the Gunners is interesting. Yeah, say the least, Jack. See how they combine this coming year. Who's everyone starting 3 mids? Partey, Granit Xhaka, Ødegaard, right now."
What did you just say?
I said Partey, Granit Xhaka.
Invisible man.
No. There's a placeholder. You got a placeholder. Don't be putting. No, it's Ødegaard, Partey, placeholder.
Blank to be blank. Blankety
Well,
blank. Who are we
to
going to
be
get in
to
that
be
spot?
decided, right? That's how I would look.
Exactly.
I would love it to be decided,
determined.
but Arteta.
Alex said, surely Arsenal should be looking to get a CDM. Paqueta, definitely. Martinez, Savage, and even not Kante. Savage and Kante are not the answer. Maybe, just maybe, Torreira is the one. Paqueta,
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I think Paqueta is the answer. I think I would be very interested in Paqueta. We'll talk about him soon as well. What formation is the solution going to use to get the best out of Jesus? I bet nobody in chat can guess it correctly.
I'm going to say yes. That's the formation. It
I
doesn't
think
matter.
Yes.
I
Any
think
formation
I
is
think a really
better for
well-known
us.
formation of yes.
Name it.
Oh,
I think
yes.
he improves us in any formation
Well,
we put him in.
you can learn something new every day, and yes is the formation. BX Scanner said, bring back 4-4-2.
I want
Probably will
4-4-2
see
actually.
that, Stan, I know you're a big proponent of the 4-4-2. We may see that at some point in the season when we need to
Wow.
get back into a game.
Yeah, we might even see a 3-5-2 as well.
Yeah,
with,
that's
three, with three at the back.
Tony.
But
That'll get Tony excited.
I'm always, I've always been a proponent of having two strikers in a team.
Yeah.
I just think that, you know, it's the strikers that you count on for goals. You know, I've always liked that formation where you have the way that we used to play with Henry and Bergkamp, having one just a little bit deeper off of your main striker. I've always felt that there's a formation that should involve that, and two wingers as well. I'm a winger man as well. I mean, you look at my FIFA formation; it's old school. You know, it's wingers. There's one main up the front like your Henry, and there's one a little bit deeper in the Bergkamp role. But maybe, you know, it's like fashion. At some point, it will come back round, I think. You know.
Yeah, trends have come back around a lot, eh?
They'll
To
come
be
back
honest with
round.
you.
You are seeing some teams a lot now. There are some teams out there that have gone back to employing two up front. So I think it's only a matter of time before that fashion comes back in. Hopefully.
Well,
the two on the sides of Fauna in a 3-4-2. Those are wing backs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3-5-2.
Didn't Arteta in his post-match interview for that friendly turn around and say he's kind of looking at his options and in terms of how two would work? I'm pretty sure he mentioned that, didn't he? Yeah.
The 4-4-2 is on, and he was looking at it to see what it looked like. Mr. Tom is offering a bounty system here. Leeds playing Crystal Palace in Australia next week. A bounty system can be arranged. I maybe Zaha, maybe Wilfred Zaha would be their main man, but Crystal Palace have a lot of dangerous players. So unless they're willing to take out 3 or 4 for us, it might be a moot point, as Tony would say. I thought that was Tony crying in Gary's dungeon.
I don't have a dungeon.
We would like to
Gotta love everyone in the chat, eh?
We'd like to confirm at this time that was not Tony in Gary's dungeon. Stan beat me to it. Not in the chat still. Probably I don't know. We'll have to see how that happens. Macandell, what about Gilberto Silva? Says he assembled. And Jack Mack, I don't think Kante is the answer, as we mentioned earlier. Where's Tony and Matt equals Turner? Riddy's here. Gilberto not on the same planet as Kante or Patrick Vieira for me. Gilberto was a tidy. Our Gilberto, tidy little player.
That's the thing. We need a Gilberto because we can't afford a Vieira or a Conte at their peak, right? So just get me somebody who can do the job.
Something has never been right with Arsenal's midfield since he left. I think that's Patrick Vieira they're talking about. It seems Gary finally got him kidnapped. Well done, Gary.
I wouldn't do that to my friends, so stop that. That's just really, really bad talk.
He calls that.
There's other people on the show I might kidnap, but it's not Tony. Stop it.
Jesus will bang for you this year. Very smart move. Raise the expectations and quality day in, day out in training. A proven winner. I think not that we're going to win the league, Matt, but I think the winner of the league will be in the 80-point range this coming season. It's up to the rest of the league to take on the Cities and the Liverpools of this Premier League.
That tally, like I say, that end of season tally target is getting higher and higher each season. You know, the likes of City and Liverpool are just absolutely annihilating the rest of the league. So, you know, like I say, we have to try and win. You know, we did fairly well. We had a few slip-ups here and there, which we expected with the young squad and a very lean squad against kind of those teams around us or below us. But like I say, we have, first and foremost, we have to beat the teams around us and below us. But I think, you know, we really need to start trying to pick up more points against, you know, those top kind of 4 sides, top 5 sides, and doing better against the Tottenhams, the Uniteds, the Liverpool, you know, even the Chelseas, you know, and even try and nick a point, or even win a game against the Liverpools and Cities. You know, that game against City, you know, I know we had obviously the Xhaka incident, didn't we?
Yeah.
But, you know, we could have gone on and won that game. So, you know, we've got the ability. We just need to be able to see out those games, you know. But we can do it. You know, we're not going to win every one, but at least if we can nick a few points here and there, it makes a difference end of season. Because, like I say, you know, when we got to the end of last season, it was 1 point. You know, if that's one game, you know, 1 late goal, 1 no sending off, you know, something like that. You know, we could have been over the line and got 4th. So it's really critical, but it's difficult. Really difficult because, you know what, Liverpool gone and got Nunes. All of these teams are strengthening, so the goalposts move. As much as we improve, everybody else is as well. So it's hard, really hard.
Bargov said, "Hey, I'm out for brunch. We'll watch back and replay." Thank you, Bargov. Curious what you guys think of Elneny. I mean, he deserves more credit. I think
100% needs more credit. Yeah.
I think most of us are looking at Elneny as a squad player, of course, but obviously we want him to shuffle down a little bit, 2nd, 3rd, maybe 3rd, 4th choice in midfield, because we need to upgrade in that area. Right, Stan?
Yeah, big proponent, big fan of Elneny. I'm really happy that he's got another contract. I've been in the Elneny camp ever since he was away on loan over in Turkey, and I was saying we should be looking at bringing him back, and I thought that he could help the team. So I'm glad that others are now beginning to see that he does have a place in the squad and that he does add a little bit. It does add value. I'm happy with him being in as like the third guy in our lineup in the midfield as a backup. I don't think he should be any lower than that because I still think that he has something to offer. So, yeah, more than happy to have him still around. And as I think Matt said earlier, his other attribute is that he's a good example as well. We have a lot of young players in this team, and you need to have good examples on how to be a model professional. And they will learn off of Elneny. They will see the way that he bides his time and that he's a team player and that he doesn't shout and scream when he doesn't get enough minutes. And when he does come in, he doesn't sulk. He plays to try and be in the squad for the next game. That's a great example.
Bargov said this could be an example, and Elneny could be an example of the evolution that people are missing a trick on. Some players are late bloomers, you know. Gary and I had this discussion about Martinelli versus Emile Smith-Rowe. Yes, players will develop at different ages as well. So, good point. Please take points off of City. We were shocking against the top team. We were shocking against the top teams last year. I think that's Liverpool, right? We're definitely going to need to think outside the box in regards to tactics, so we don't have a strong enough team. All right, so let's talk about Jesus and the 2 goals. Stan, you just seen. I've seen highlights like you. I didn't see the full game. I think Gary might have watched the full game. Did you, Gary?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can give us a little bit more insight into who did well, who did not. But the movement from Gabriel Jesus, I'll start with Matt. The 2 goals from Gabriel Jesus, 2 different types of finishes, let's say, from Gabriel Jesus, and for both of them.
Yeah, he's just instinctive, isn't he? I think, you know, he showed straight away he's willing to move into space, make the runs, you know, be available for the pass, you know, be an option, you know, uses his pace. He's quite clever with the timings of his runs, you know, from what we saw in that game anyway. He knows, he's got that experience. He knows where the goal is, and thankfully he can put it in the back of the net as well. So good finishes as well. You know, let's give him credit for that as well. 2 good finishes. So I think finally, you know, that will lift our midfield and our attacking forwards, because they're going to think, finally, now when I'm putting passes, I've now got an option when I want to put a pass through and someone's actually going to make a run for me. And two, if I do put that ball in, it's probably going to end up in the back of the net. And that, because it must be a bit demoralizing, when you're putting balls through, you're looking for somebody, you're attacking down the wing, and you've either got no option there, or that player loses the ball, doesn't take a shot, and it all fizzles out. You do that a few times a game over the season, you start losing the will to live a little bit. You think, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I think it will lift everybody. Once he starts banging a few goals in, and they're starting to see the fruits of their labour in these training drills coming off, and they've actually got someone putting the ball in the back of the net, at the end of these moves, I think it will lift everybody's game.
Stan.
So looking forward to that.
Sorry, Matt. Stan, you're seeing like lots of different facets to Jesus' game. First goal, he's able to carry the ball in from the right wing, combine with a player and get on the end of it with a near post finish. In the second one, he's getting on the end of the cross and getting across the defender to get that touch.
I mean, don't the stats say that he scores all of his goals within the box, right?
Yes.
He doesn't score any out of the box, so he's deadly in that area. He knows his way around the box. Was one of the goals he scored a header?
No, one was a cross that he flicked with his foot. He just got across, like a little bit like an Olivier Giroud type goal across the front of the defender at the near post.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a problem creating chances. We've had the problem putting them away. You see the stats and you see how much chances that we can create. We've got people now that are bombing up the ring and crossing balls in, and Lacazette's still in the centre circle. Well, Gabriel Jesus will be, up front and ready in the penalty box to try and get on the end of those. So I don't think the creation part is going to be a problem. He's going to get a lot of service. So it's up to him now. It's up to him to see what his conversion rate is going to be like, and I've got no doubts that he's going to be right up there. I think that the way that we're going to use him in this team is going to be different to how he was used at Manchester City, and I think that he's going to relish it. And I look forward to see what he's going to be about this season. But I think he's going to be. I've got a good feeling about him.
Assembled. I just used the term Giroud in terms of the movement to the near post in front of the defender. Their physical body type is slightly different. I will admit that, of course.
But the
Gary,
thing is definitely very similar. I agree with you, Ray. It is very similar to what
the
you
movement may be similar. The body type is going to be very different, Matt. Gary, what did you see from Jesus in particular?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to that when we're talking about that first goal, because he takes the ball, like you said, just inside the, probably, a third part of the field, and takes it outside, and he's got four players in front of him, four defenders in front of him, splits them, gets the pass into the middle of the goal, because I think it's Nketiah sitting there, ball pops out, and then the cross comes in, and he's still moving. Right, and so we're not getting that from Aubameyang or Lacazette, and even in Nketiah, I guess it's totally different because he's playing wing at this point. But you're not getting that, and like you said, he's making the movement. They can see it play out, right? Because there's nobody on that side of the pitch, nobody in red, so it's just him on that side. It's not like it's difficult to defend. They have one guy, and they can't do it because the movement is so crisp and so fluid that it just he just flows right through there. Yeah, I think Giroud's movement was really good. I don't think he's like a lumbering through the middle of pitches. He's really strong, big guy going through there. We miss that. We would miss somebody who can shoot with all parts of his foot and all different kind of angles.
Anatomy,
he scored so many different ways. I miss. You knew with less than 30 minutes to go in the game, if he was on the bench, you had a chance. Down a man, it didn't even matter, right? We're down a man, we bring him on, we get goals. That was nice to see. We did not have that on the bench. We haven't had that on the bench since. But no, so I get a Giroud. We're not trying to compare him, but like you said, he's always there, always available for the ball.
I think the other thing
we don't have that, right? So Jesus, I think, like I said, that first goal really nice, and Nketiah got a foot on. I think it was Nketiah or Sambi made the were touching the ball before
that pass.
Yeah, so I think it was a great thing to see. And good 90 seconds in, we got exactly what we thought we were going to get. Right, he's able to take the ball from high up the pitch and move it in to position and continue his run and get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Earlier in the game, I think Maitland-Niles makes a cross. There's nobody there. The ball just trickles right in front of the goalkeeper and goes out to, I forget if it goes out of bounds, but there's nobody there. And Maitland-Niles, I don't think was playing a wing. You know what I mean? So if he's got the ball and he's been able to put a cross in, that means there should be some players ahead of him in a spot to get the ball as it comes across the goal. So that availability by the player is really good to see. So yeah.
Stan, what did you have to add there, Stan?
I was just going to say, I also think that the other quality that Gabriel Jesus will bring is now that we've got someone that's going to be operating a lot in and around the penalty box, he's going to draw the defenders towards him, and that's going to create space for a lot of other players as well, which we didn't really have with Lacazette. He wasn't really a player that I felt that the defenses were that concerned with. They could maybe concentrate on other areas of our game, but Gabriel Jesus, he's going to draw those defenders towards him now, like bees to honey, and that's going to open up a lot of space.
I also hope that Nketiah is going to. That's a great point as well. I said that to Mahir a few weeks ago. Everyone else's numbers should go up based on now. Now we have a competent striker, and I say that with all due respect to Lacazette. His decline in the last 2 years was very dramatic, but Gabriel Jesus can do all the things that we would have asked of Lacazette, and then some as well. But I think the movement in there is going to help Eddie Nketiah as well. Training with Gabriel Jesus every day, it's got to improve him as well, And look, we're going to look for more targets to come in as well, because Nerdscape here said we must not let the club use this recent form as an excuse for not signing new players, and that was in reference to Mohamed El-Neni. And we need to improve in midfield moving forward as well. Gary carefully looking to his right to make sure Tony hasn't managed to break. Love it. Love the chat box. Chat box is the 12th man here. Movement I disagree with. He was slower than most players, so it looked like good movement. Watching him, I realized he was slightly slower.
But you know what? It's about knowing
timing if you run.
It's about anticipating when it's coming, so it looks faster.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you need. It's a footballer mentality to know the space is going to open up for me if I make this move now as opposed to later. So it's not the fastest thing. He's not Gabriel's speed, but he's always there. He's always there, and that's what we depended on. So I get it.
Definitely, that's right, Gary. And I'm going to reference something. Paul McGrath. Does anyone remember Paul McGrath?
Of course.
An old Irish player, right? Jack Charlton, when he came to the Irish setup, he needed Paul McGrath so much because Paul McGrath's knees were so bad he couldn't train through the week, but he would play, and he would play really well for Aston Villa. And he relied on being in the right place at the right time and being in position. And these are the type of things, whether you're a defender or whether you're a striker, you can make your game better by being in the right position, Stan.
Teddy Sheringham was very good at doing that as a forward.
Yeah.
Teddy Sheringham was a very slow forward. He looked like he was running in deep sea diving boots at times, but he banged the goals in because he always managed to read the game in such a way that he'd be in just the right place to get the right pass, and the players knew that he'd be there somehow. So another one, Berbatov, right? Berbatov was a very slow player as well and quite languid, but another one that was very good at reading the game, being in the place at the right time to make a contribution. So if you've got a slow player but they've got a good football brain, they can get away with it. If you've got a slow player and they can't read the game, then you end up with a bit of a Mustafi. So it's just the way it works out.
Well, you just end up with somebody with a load of pace who just runs around like a headless chicken, and he's still never going to get on the end of it because he doesn't know when to time his runs properly. So
a bit like Guendouzi. Sorry, I had to.
Tony will be free for tomorrow's trip show. I'm sure Tony will be made available for selection.
He'll be unshackled.
Yeah, he'll be on a short leash.
Gunnar Glenn's in the house, so he'll remember Paul McGrath as well. One of the greatest defenders ever, says Nerdscape. And we were saying Gunnar Glenn You don't have to be the fastest player if you can read the game. And Paul McGrath could do that. Teddy Sheringham can do it. And even Olivier Giroud could do it for a time. Jack Charlton's rare someone who's adored by both the English and the Irish. Very true, very true.
Do you know what Jack Charlton used to do? He used to, like, when he was the manager of Ireland and that, he'd go down to a pub, especially if he was over in Ireland and that, and he'd, you know, buy drinks. He'd buy drinks for people as well, spend a lot of money, but then when it was time to cash in, he'd write a check, because he knew that 9 times out of 10 the landlord wouldn't cash the check, but they'd probably just frame it,
right,
put it behind the bar. Jackie Charlton drank here, so that was one of his ploys. Always had a checkbook.
Nice one. Nice one. Yeah, so that's Gabriel Jesus. Any other points to make about the game, Gary, that you saw? Because you did see it in the entirety.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the first 45, second 45, yay, you know. So, but I that's kind of how I looked at it. I mean, I was expecting to see, okay, with that lineup, some of these players to show me something, and I didn't see it in the first half. Second half, I know it opened up because we got, you know, some of our better players on, but it was, I guess, it's a good preseason warm up for sure. I'm always like, okay, I've seen enough of Jesus. I don't need to see any more, so we can save him until Crystal Palace. But I know it's not going to happen that way. But
Wrap him up in cotton wool, right?
Exactly. I don't need to see any more. I don't need to see. I mean, when he came up, started limping after that. You know, I think that second goal or the first one, he kind of limped out of the goalie box. I was like, ooh, can we play? But he finished off the game, so I guess he's all right. But yeah. No, I think it was that second half is basically what I was hoping to see for most of it. But I'll take it. I'll take what we saw. Like I said, the youngsters that for me actually looked pretty good. Marquinhos came on and quietly looked okay playing. You know, I was hoping to see Vieira, but that didn't happen. Yeah, I think Marie's going to be hard to sell after that performance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so that's, you know, are we keeping him? I don't know, but it didn't sell well. Let's just say that it didn't sell well.
He didn't show well, and these players are in the shop window right now.
The good thing about Pablo Mari's performance, though, it probably single-handedly has reinforced Arsenal to put up their bid for Martinez after that, from what I've heard of the performance. But just as another point as well, I know there was a lot of people online as well, kind of upset that some of the players that we want to move on are on this tour, and also upset that Hector Bellerin is wearing the captain's armband. It doesn't mean anything. As I said before, these games are tune-up games, and at the end of the day, if the window does slam shut and we still have Bellerin, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and a couple of the others still on the team, they still need to be in training and they still need to be ready to go. Because if we need to call on them, they need to be ready. Or if a team comes in for them right at the end of the window, they want to know that the player that they get in is ready to go as well. So we still have an obligation to make sure that these players remain fit in case we need them. So, yeah, onto the next friendly, you know. And as for Gabriel Jesus, yeah, we know that he can score goals. He knows he can score goals, but he has to play more of these friendlies because this is more about his teammates now, understanding how he scores goals. How do I need to get the ball to this guy so that he can get it in the back of the net? Yeah. That's all they need to work out. And once they figure that out, I think it'd be happy days because he will get the ball in the back of the net more often than not, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a catch-22 though with those players, right? Like a Maitland-Niles and Bellerin, because it's, do I prepare my team, the team that I'm going to put out there for the first game of the season, or do I prepare my players that, you know, the players that I don't foresee as part of my future as well? So it's a catch-22 depending on how you look at it, right? So for me, I just assume you know, if you were going to work them in, you would have done that already, right? And that's why they were able to go out on loan. I mean, I think Bellerin did exactly what he was supposed to do when he went out on loan. He went to a team. They actually won the trophy. Mm-hmm. He is wanted. They don't want to pay. So to me, that did it. What do we do? What else do we have to do? Right?
When you look at our loans,
Maitland-Niles went out. It didn't work as well. You know, Nelson went out. It didn't work as well. But Torreira went out. It worked. They don't want to pay.
Yeah.
So either Arsenal takes the hit, takes the loss, which I think I'll rather take the loss because you're going to get something from them than over nothing. at this point because those two loans work. They did exactly what the teams got performances out of them. They want them to play for them. They don't want to pay, and I think that mindset's got to change. Like, nah, Arsenal's got to take whatever number they have. They got to get something more than that. It can't be all right. Well, accept what you said. No, you're going to have a little bit of pain as well, right? It's got to be a two-way street here. If we want 10 and you want 5, maybe it's 7.5, and we're all happy we walk away from this thing. So it's got to be that as well. We got to be ruthless in it. But I think of the loans, half of them I think worked.
Listen, Arsenal's getting better at this thing. It's only the last step we're not so great at.
Look at the Hector Bellerin.
Identifying clubs, Stan.
Look at that Bellerin loan, right?
They're having good loans. Go ahead.
We put in a figure for an obligation to buy. We put the figure in that was all agreed, and then they come back and offer us half. The only reason they wouldn't have done that with any other team. They would have kept to the agreement, but we've garnered this reputation that we can be bullied a little bit over fees. And I think had Arsenal buckled and gone, oh, let's just take it to get him off the books. I see the one side of it that we've cleared a bit of dead wood, but this will continue to happen every time that we try to sell a player. You know, the next time it might be one of our young kids who's now moving on to a bigger stage, and we're trying to get we're then being, getting our pants pulled down and not getting the full price of what that player's worth. Player's worth 80 million and we're getting offered 65. We have to make sure that this kind of reputation is gone, that people don't think that they can come to Arsenal and take players for derisory fees.
What do you think of this, Matt? Arsenal are getting better. They're identifying clubs that the players can have loans at and be successful at, as earmarked by Gary and Stan. But we're not getting situations where the player will either want to go to that club or Arsenal can agree on a fee and get paid.
Well, you saw it with the Saliba situation, didn't you? Everyone kicking off because he didn't get games straight away. He's gone off to France and had a season there. Oh, he should have been playing for us straight season. Why he's over there? It's a waste of time. Actually, if you look at it in, with retrospect and you look at the bigger picture, that was absolutely the right thing to do, to send him on loan, to make him a better player, give him more experience, more game time, bring him back when he's ready and a bit more mature and has a bit more about him, and then put him in the team. That's the whole point of I think people miss what the point and purpose of a loan period is for, and we are getting better at it. I think, like I say, we're picking the right clubs of people to go to. As Stan, has rightly said, we are seeing a slightly different tack from Arsenal in the sense that we're not now seeing us kind of just accepting stupid money for players, I say taking half price, buy one, get one free kind of situations, because we've had our pants pulled down so many times the last few seasons. And like Stan absolutely said, I agree with it. Like you say, you want to get rid of the deadwood, but you end up building yourself a really poor reputation, and that hobbles you then in future business because people just think they can walk all over you. So I think Arteta, Edu, they've done a good job in that sense, in that you can start to see a different mindset. And you saw it in January was quite a big indicator of that they weren't willing, even though the fan base was frustrated by it. The pressure was there for us to go and buy somebody in January. They thought, no, we're going to stick to our guns. We're not going to pay over the price for a player that we don't want to. We're not going to go and buy anybody for the sake of buying it and just adding random wages to the wage bill just for the sake of it. We're going to go and get the players we actually want at the price we want. And you're starting to see it in this window as well, going for players and not being willing to pay over the odds. They have a clear set target of money they want to spend, and they'll walk away from that deal if they're not happy with it, or they'll hold fire, have conversations. They're not just going to go and do what we did with Pepe and put £72 million on the table, and put stupid money down. So I think we are learning, we're getting there, and we are using the loan system to our advantage, and we're not getting our pants pulled down anymore. So it's good. We're becoming a much tougher team and business to work with now, so that's a good thing. I think I got
to channel my Tony's not here, right, but I'm going to channel my inner Tony here. Looking at that team down the road, Conte has left some players behind on their preseason. I told them to sort out their future by themselves. Arsenal seem to bring a different approach bring the players on tour with them.
We're,
If possible.
we're a little nice. We're nice, right? Or some people might say we're classy, and that's what classy teams do.
Yeah, I
No,
don't know what
it
the
looks-
right
It
approach
goes
is.
both ways, I think, because
Yeah.
like I said, you kind of take away from the players that need the time on the pitch.
Yeah.
Right. To
Mhm.
sell somebody you don't want who's already had that opportunity. Everybody knows what Bellerin can do for you. So does that benefit him playing? I don't think so. I don't think he benefits from preseason if we have a replacement for him to put on the pitch. But some of the other players, they didn't play as much. I don't think Maitland-Niles played much on his loan. Right. Nelson, he did start in the final, I think, or he came on. He was the only one that came on in
Nelson
that
played
final.
in the final. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I think some players need to be in the shop window and others don't. I don't think Bellerin does. I think everybody saw a bit of tape from him last season to say I got it, right? Nobody would need to see Saliba play to say, well, do I want to pick him up or not this preseason? You wouldn't need to because you've got a lot of body of work there. So, so it is a catch-22. I agree with that. I just feel like you've already made your decision whether or not to keep them. So showing off what they can and cannot do might backfire like a Marie.
and
You know what I
like
mean?
said,
It looked like there was interest for Marie going into this window, and that showing was just like, oh, is that a chip? Did I just see a chip? Did something just fall off on that, that piece of china there? That's kind of what I saw there. So
as Gunnar Glenn said with Bellerin, he did okay at Real Betis. Won a trophy, right? Real Betis say they want him back, but they're not willing to stump up the money. And Unai Emery is looking for him, but Bellerin does not want to go to Villarreal for whatever reason. I know it's his father used to play at Real Betis before, but oh no, Stan was ready. Those are concerning reports indeed. Gary and Ray, you better secure the room. Yeah, Tony.
no, you know what?
Tony has moved on
I've
to
got
the-
more than enough people helping me with if I had a dungeon, I have a lot of support from people who have dungeons, and you know them. They are my consultants if I needed them. So dungeon secure.
We know a few of
Nobody's
those
getting
people.
out.
I
much,
don't. I have to be honest, right? Looking at the monitor, I don't know how he worked out that last puzzle. I thought that would definitely, excuse the pun, stump him.
You have to hit the open button on the fourth flash of the WTT.
Yeah.
It's a
You're like,
timing-
how does somebody
timing
do
puzzle.
that? Don't you need? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Go ahead. Come on.
I want to play a game.
Hey there, John. How you doing?
Yeah. So listen, that team down the road do it slightly differently. I don't know what's the right approach. The result at the end of the day will tell its own story when it comes to Arsenal. But we have done things pretty bad in the recent past 5-6 years in terms of moving on the next shitbag 6. Dan.
Yep. Stop it, you. So yeah. We're almost there.
Tony, it's not Tony, is it?
No, it's the cat. It's trying to bite my head.
It's like something nibbling on his ankles. It's like, what is?
Tony's either in New Jersey, New York area.
There's a finger
or-
sticking out from one of the holes from the cage he's got below, like the cell he's got below sticking out.
And if he escapes from that room, does that mean he's moved on to the next part of the chamber? Which
Yeah,
is
he's not
Dan's-
getting out
Yeah.
before the show's
Dan's
over, so don't worry
location.
about it.
Yeah, I think that next puzzle is definitely gonna fry him off track a little bit.
Yeah. Ready? I'm also.
And he's fucked as well because I made sure the door's just a few inches smaller than the width of his wheelchair, so he's fucked.
I'm sure Tony has a legitimate reason why he's not here, so we wish him well. I know he's going through some issues right now. He'll tell us. He'll clue us in on it.
He's down the hospital so much they've decided to name a wing after him. His own wing.
He's doing a grand
Turner
opening of
wing.
his own wing.
Tony
He's
Turner
cutting
wing.
the ribbons with his own wing.
The
See,
Tina Turner wing.
this right here is why I find it difficult to think that there's going to be business done because Edu has to make these trips for some reason, and I don't think he has to make these trips. I think he just needs to be grilling, jet skiing, and closing business. I
Grilling,
think he does that well.
jet skiing, and grilling in terms of cooking up Arsenal players coming in as
I
well.
want to see the ABCs of business, man. Come on.
So, Matt, I've got Neil Diamond in my head all morning here. We're coming to America. I hear that song in the background. The The other one is Eddie Murphy coming to America. So
I was going to say that was the one that popped straight into my head.
I was thinking of James Brown in Rocky
Yeah,
IV.
in the Rocky films. Yeah, 100%. That's it. When he's coming down on the platform.
Yeah.
Oh, great
Apollo-
scene.
Apollo
Absolutely
Creed.
great scene. Yeah.
and Val
Brilliant.
Kilmer looking
Does he
around.
survive that fight? Because I can't remember if that's the one he
That was
survived.
the Apollo Creed, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Apollo
that's-
Creed coming
that's
down the
really-
on the platform. Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
I was talking to my wife about it, and she played the part where is it Val Kilmer? Is the Russian?
Dolph
Dolph
Lundgren.
Lundgren.
Dolph
Yeah.
Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren. Sorry,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer. I know you don't watch, but sorry.
To be fair, he has got the looks of Val Kilmer, like the early Val Kilmer. I can see the mistake. Yeah.
So, Stan, the players are going to gather up on Monday, and they're going to fly out on Tuesday.
Yep.
International players who have not joined up yet: Erdegaard, Partey, Saliba, Saka, and Tomiyasu will
Yep.
join the squad.
I hope all of those players that you've mentioned, all of them,
All of them.
are available to get on that flight and go to America for that pre-season.
I think they all will. I think we will see all 5 of them there. Erdegaard, Partey, Saliba, Saka, and Tomiyasu. So,
No, you didn't. Now is White still out because he didn't play?
I didn't hear anything about Ben White. Did you? Maybe there's an injury or something there. I don't know. Maybe he was playing the last available international game with England, the one where Ramsdale left 4 goals in. I think it was. But anyway, I digress, as they say. Next Saturday, the 16th. Yeah, next Saturday, Matt. Everton, who are still a Premier League club, funnily enough, lucky Everton, hung in there. And Orlando and Chelsea. That's the competition. Will take us up right till the end of the month.
Well, this is it. It's just it's a gradual step up in competition. You want to kind of get to just before the season starts. You want to kind of be up in the level of competition and the skill level of your opponent to make it more kind of lifelike, so to speak, for when you hit the season, you're hitting it running, and at the same kind of pace, the same level. Players have had the similar level of minutes as they would do, in a normal game when they come to start the season. So, like I say, it's starting to ramp up, and that's what pre-season's all about. So it'd be interesting. Like Stan says, though, it's like in any sport, I guess. Whether it's Olympians and their pre-Olympic training, they might have a poor run in, but having an amazing tournament. Like World Cup teams, you might have a really poor run up to a World Cup, but then go and get to a final. You've got to kind of take these pre-season games with a bit of a pinch of salt. Look at it as a learning process. See what happens. It doesn't really matter too much, if you get beaten, as long as the issues are being addressed and things are being tweaked in the background. Of course, we all want to see us win every game and win it comfortably. But if we lose one here or there, or things don't quite go our way, that's what it's there for. You learn from it. You switch your systems up. It's a time for tinkering. It's an opportunity for Arteta to try new systems, to be able to adapt in games and change things up and have that plan B. So it's good actually sometimes to go behind in a game so we can see what he can do to change things up. So that when it comes to that type of situation in the season, he's got a plan B. He's been there. He knows what works. So we'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. But like I say, hopefully, we'll have some positive results and something to shout about, and we'll see Jesus banging in more goals, and we'll see more of our first 11 getting a bit of a run out. I'd like to see Vieira because I haven't really seen him play, and I'd really like to kind of see how he fits in with the whole system. But obviously, I just hope that we can have a really smooth run in for players like Tierney and Tomiyasu. Those ones that you're kind of thinking about injuries. You just want to keep them, nice and on the level, so you head into the season with them fit and nothing untoward, touch wood, happens, and they have a nice smooth sail into the season. Because they're critical for us as the end of this season just gone showed us.
Yeah, and as Gary, as Matt just prefaced there, Fabio Vieira. Listen, it might be nothing to be concerned about. I know he had a boot on about a week before they flew out to Germany. this may have been just an extra precaution against that, because you can take a boot off, you can walk on it, but to be competitive with it, you probably want to be 100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he immediately put out a post, right, basically saying, it's nothing. And then, like, I think they showed pictures of him riding the bike. So
Yeah.
I assume if he can ride a bike, it's not as bad as many thought. I mean, I just didn't like the look, whether or not it's precautionary or not, because you see that from a lot of sports. They wrap you up and all of that after you're done, and it's usually just part of the job, right? It's just part of how things work. So I didn't like the look, because it didn't seem like, all right, and it just seemed, I don't want to again. So I'm gonna go. I'm that one that's just gonna take it and run with it. What show me, and I'll run with it. I don't like okay, it could have been precautionary, but I like running with it, because I think I like the way it is. That's how I work. So
Guys,
it'd be nice to see him. It'd be nice to see him get in there, working with some of the first teamers, and see how he does. Because we didn't seem like we missed much. We didn't miss the presence in the middle there, right, in the last game. But we're going to need to see how that looks, because Erdegaard is going to have more to work with, and Vieira is going to have hopefully push him.
Since you saw the game, talk a little bit about Turner, and not Tony Turner, but Matt Turner, the goalkeeper. Sembold and Gunnar Glenn and Arnie are asking about his performance between the sticks.
I think, well, for me, my initial thought was, damn, he got beat. The first goal, got beat on that one, leaning the wrong way, and they caught him. And then the second one, it was just a really nice shot as well. But so the defense in front of him was a flaky. But I kind of feel like at some point we're going to have goalkeepers are going to have to make those stops. So you could say, all right, it's not a bad an issue there. But I thought he could have done better, definitely on one of those shots that went in there. So I would expect him to get a hand and clear it on at least one of those shots, and maybe that will come with time, since it is preseason. So yeah. Because I think the first one, I think he he set himself up perfectly, didn't give much away, but the fact that he was, like I said, leaning, it kind of looked really bad when he went to try to stop it, because he just was nowhere near it. And the second one was just a really nice shot, which started out with a really bad defensive play in front of a bad pass, on that left-hand side there, and the guy had all the time in the space that he needed, and he tried to get him to go to that corner, and he did. Just if you're planning to do that, and that's where he's going to go with it, and you can't get to it, then you need to do a little bit better in preparation for that. So
preseason game, we know fitness has to be enhanced, but also we know losing 3 goals that we have things to work on.
The third goal, I think, is that's for me poor, because it was all around poor. Like, I know it's on Conco in there, but he's got to be able to try to command his box. There was only one player from the other squad there, and there were about 4 defenders in there, and they all lost the man. All right? Yeah. Somebody needs to call out the man standing there inside that, and 3 feet away from the goal, and defend him, and nobody did. So, it's definitely a learning. It's definitely part of the learning process. But we've seen time again those types of things. So they hopefully will work on that. It's all for that. I think it was all communication, goalkeeper to his back line basically, and even if he's young, I think he still needs to be able to command his box to some degree. So I don't think that's an excuse as much as everybody let down their guard on that one.
Stan, are we being hasty in selling Leno? For me, we have no real choice in selling Leno. The player wants to go. We have to get some cash for him.
Yeah, I would love for us to be able to keep Leno and have him and Leno and Ramsdale duking it out to be our number one, because Bernd Leno is a very good keeper. If it's only a couple of seasons ago when we couldn't put a cigarette paper between him and Aubameyang of who our best player was for a season. But we're not. If we were like a Man City or a Liverpool, we'd probably be able to keep both of those players, because we'd be fighting for the biggest competitions, and they would probably want to stay and duke it out. But where we are at the moment, a player like Bernd Leno, he's a player that is at a point in his career where he feels that he should be a number one keeper somewhere. So he's not going to stay. So, bringing in a player like Matt Turner was the right thing to do. And it's only a matter of time now before I think that Leno finds a new home.
Yeah. And look, we got Quavine Kelleher, a second choice Liverpool goalkeeper. He's first choice for Republic of Ireland. As bad as Republic of Ireland have been, I think he's first choice. Gunnar Glenn can probably tell me about that. But this is the kind of competition where he's going to get games at Liverpool, and he can justify being selected at the international level, even at the best club, one of the best clubs in the world at Liverpool. This is what is needed, and Arsenal have not been able to give that competition to Bernd Leno. World Cup year has impacted a lot of moves this summer, and Bernd Leno wanted to move to Fulham, and he's going to get a lot of action, Matt, probably with Fulham as well.
Yeah, it's like Stan says, we don't really have much of a choice because the player's going to want to go. He's not going to want to be a backup goalkeeper with the quality he's got. And like I say, we're not challenging yet for those kind of titles. And given his age profile, he's going to want to really see out the remaining years of his career as a. I know goalkeepers, go on for donkey's years, don't they, compared to most outfield players who've still got enough in the tank. But he's going to want to be playing first team football. He's not going to want to be a bench warmer. He's too good for that. Like I say, if we were City challenging for Champions League, you'd think, like I say, he'd be maybe thinking twice. But Fulham makes sense for him. I think, like Riddy has said in the chat, it's in London. He knows where he is. He'll get first team football. He'll get regular minutes. It makes complete sense for him to do that. So, I see it's a good move for him. A shame for us because, like I say, I liked him as a goalkeeper. He was excellent. It's the only real difference for me between Leno and Ramsdale was his communication and distribution. His shot stopping was second to none, and he was an excellent goalkeeper. But, it will take time for Matt Turner to like I say, stamp his mark, put his stamp on things and make his mark. He's new to the squad, but I'm sure he'll come good. I don't think we'll have a Renaissance situation, in the Europa League. We don't want that. I think we'd have learned from that situation. So, just got to give him a bit of time.
Plus,
he's got to be nervous. And the thing I love about Matt Turner, by the way, true Gooner, proper Arsenal fan, he loves it, and I've been watching his videos, obviously that they've been putting out through the club, and it's lovely to see somebody who's actually supported the club, from a reasonably young age, and actually get to live his dream. That's awesome. That is awesome. So good luck to him. I hope success.
Tottenham supporters rejected. Stan?
I was just going to say as well. Plus, Leno's just recently got married, and when it comes to what town or what city they're going to live in, I think his missus has probably got a huge say in where they're going. And if she likes shopping in London, then they're staying in London.
Probably like every other couple in the world, right? There's not many times we get the final say in a lot of things, So Gary, let's step into the transfer world. What's going on out there? Lisandro Martinez. I would just love to be in that auction, knowing Man United are just going to keep outbidding us and just push the price up and up and up with Martinez.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I think he would be a welcome addition to the squad, but I don't think we need to. I don't want us to have to spend too much time going back and forth on this one. I know there's deadlines, so I think it's going to end for Leeds at some point, and then all bets are off, I assume, when that happens, right? So I think nobody wants to deal with that. I thought he was supposed to be leaving, like they wanted him on the plane on Friday, right? So they can move on with all their other business. So the fact that that hasn't happened and he's at Leeds practicing means, it could drag on. But no, I kind of feel like, with that one, I guess playing it that way, keep going back and forth with them to boost up the price. But we still have, I'll be happy to get two more, midfield support, to come in, right? So that's where we are. Yeah, Arnie, that's a good one there.
Turner, when he refused that Tottenham shirt, yes, indeed.
Arnie, I didn't see the deflection on the first shot, so I didn't think that's what happened there. So that's on me if it is. But I kind of felt like Martinez. There are lots of other options for us, and it sounds like there are options where we might be able to spend less and still get similar there if we need to. We
That's
need.
Grimaldo.
Huh?
That's BX Winner says Gary Grimaldo.
Grimaldo.
He's a lot less, right? So but you pay for what you get. So are you getting? He's like 7 mil compared to like 40 mil. So are you getting?
I can answer that question.
Yeah,
I can answer that question. The reason that Grimaldo's fee is so low, it's not because of the price is reflectant to his ability. He's fallen out with the manager at Benfica, and they believe that it's become untenable. And they want, I don't know how he's fallen out, but they want him gone, which is why he's at a cut price. So it would be a good deal. I just feel that with Lisandro Martinez, according to Ornstein and those guys up at the Athletic, Man United are talking to him about being more of a centre-back. Arsenal are talking about him about being more of a left-back. So if he's going to come to Arsenal as a left-back, he's going to be a backup left-back to Kieran Tierney. And if Ajax have now pushed up the asking price to 60 million euros, that's way too much to be paying for a backup left-back.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not Man City.
Yeah, well, I thought also would come into Arsenal. He would probably move. He could move to the DM role, I believe, right? Because we don't need a center back, right? We don't need a $40 million center back right now. So he's either gonna have to play CDM for us, or like you said, he's a reserve behind Tierney, or Tierney's out. If you want to go even crazier with this whole thing, but I kind of felt like, it seems like a lot of work for somebody who's doesn't have a role that they can fulfill and be happy with. So
it really comes down to the player as well. In every situation, the player, if I'm Lisandro Martinez, right, do I want to go to United where I'm going to play more, but I'm in a bad team?
Yeah.
But maybe the coach, I believe in the coach at Man United because I've worked with him before. We don't know what the relationship, Stan has said that before, we don't know what the relationship is of his previous workings with Ten Hag. Or do you go to Arsenal, which is a slightly better team maybe at this point in time, but maybe won't play as much in a preferred position? So it's very, very difficult to know what the actual player is going to do.
Yeah.
But Gunnar Glenn, I'd like to get into a bidding war and just make United pay more.
But see, I think what he says there is a problem I have with that. We don't have time. We can barely get the deals we want done, right? So now you're telling me go out there and waste your time on a player that you really, if the price keeps going up, you're going to play that game. I don't feel like we have time to be playing those games. Not us. Not with the holes.
I can pretend we're interested. And
you could do it, but you're not getting paid.
I do it on eBay all the time.
Exactly. Steve. You're like a $50 hand controller for his Nintendo or whatever. It's a bit different than this 40 million pounds that we're talking about here. I think just a little different, but no, I kind of feel like we don't have time to be wasting, because like you said, you've got Grimaldo seems to answer the bill, Tielemans seems to answer the bill, and they both are a lot less than what seems to be our primary target. Yeah. So what is it? You know what I mean? I think Lisandro answers all the questions for them, but we don't answer all his questions. All right. He's got questions for us that we're not going to. He doesn't. What role does he have in the center back room? Right, he's the fourth one. If we're thinking about it right now, he might be better, but do they want to spend money on a center back
or second left center back? You know what I mean?
No, but I mean, do we need to spend that on another? We can't keep buying center backs every window. Come on, dude. Come on, can we please?
Not for 60 million. No,
can we fix the midfield for me, please?
I get that. Gunnar Glenn gets your point. I would just like to mess around with United,
Yeah.
Add 5 more million. Make them go another 5 million on top of that, Matt. Some part of me would enjoy that with Man United, even if knowing they're going to go there. Ben White is not a big trophy winning centre back. We need to up the class because our keeper is still coming up. Our splash on Oblak, and we'll have Saliba there. That Saliba Ben White is going to be a difficult one, I believe, for Saliba to crack into, because Arteta's probably got that belief in Ben White. He's one of his players. He bought him. So Saliba, he's going to be good. I think he will be good, but he's got to force his way in there. And then he can play centre back also, Stan. A little bit tongue in cheek there, I think. What I've seen Martin is being about
If
the
you
play.
have see that, I can't believe you even wrote that down. The assembled.
It's
Come
tongue
on.
in cheek.
Hang on,
You
hang
thought
on,
it and
hang
you
on.
wrote it down. No,
Don't forget that Xhaka is a left back.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
see, this is where it goes. It gets even worse. See, that's why I want to know. Let's
Yeah.
stop that.
And Cedric
I'm
Suarez
calling
can
it
play at right
nonsense.
back or left back.
That's
Apparently.
nonsense.
No, Thunder Road. Gunnar Glen is not the Glen from New York City. Gunnar Glen is from Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I
Different
think White will
people.
be better this season. Might prove a lot of people wrong. Yeah. Almost forgot to hit the thumbs up. Thank you
very
Thunder
much,
Road.
everybody.
Please, yes, hit that
Thank
thumbs
you.
like that. Okay, I believe we have a bid in for Grimaldo. Listen, I think privately Arsenal now that Martinez is not going to go anywhere with us, and they must know already. We're looking at Grimaldo now. We have a bid in for Grimaldo, and I think with the Paqueta deal, the player we're waiting for an indication for the player to let us know, Stan, that we're that he's interested in us.
I don't know anything about this Paqueta deal at all.
Another
To be honest with
Brazilian
you.
from Lyon.
Yeah, I don't know really anything about him. I know that he was at AC Milan, and that it didn't really work out for him as much at AC Milan. Something like 44 games and like 1 or 2 goals. But in Lyon, he's gone over there, and it seems to be a better fit for him, and that he's done a lot better over there.
Yeah.
You know, I think both goals and assists up there in double digits, right? I don't know what the
Yes.
numbers are.
I can give them to you in the league. 35 games in the league, 9 goals and 6 assists. That's pretty decent for 35 games from a midfielder.
So the question is then is he going to fit into the Premier League? You know, was it a problem for him in Italy? Was it just that it took him a while to settle, or was it a case like Dennis Bergkamp? Dennis Bergkamp went to AC Milan from Ajax, and it was a bad fit for him. It just didn't fit the way that he played his game, and they never got the best out of him. He came to what?
Tony has been released.
He's
Worked out
okay.
the puzzle.
The Kraken has been released.
You look away, and damn it, the door is open. And the man's gone.
He solved it. He solved it, Stan. He solved it.
I thought that
Tony,
last
stuck
time
in
was
my
going to get
dungeon
him.
all morning. I'm glad you got out.
So we've had you down in a puzzle room, like in a house in a puzzle room, Tony. And each room's got a puzzle, like in Saw.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't think you'd make it out of the last room.
Well, the
way that I
last
set
one
it up.
was, something about a leg, and seems you decided to just take the hit.
I had to use one of the prosthetic ones to get out. It's pretty easy.
A little bit of humor here, Tony, but you were stumped for a little bit, but now you solved it, right?
Yep.
1 + 1. Damn it! Not this one again.
You came at actually perfect time, Tony. We were talking about Paqueta from Lyon.
Get your flags out, Tony.
Yeah, draw the line in the sand. Come on. He's Brazilian, so that's a tick. That's a seal of approval.
How many Brazilians do we need?
All of them.
Yeah. Pokemon got to catch them all, right?
Gary, how long have you followed Arsenal? Gary says they assembled.
It's been like 10 years like this. 10 years like this, where I could probably talk about games and stuff. So it should be 50 plus, but I kind of left the country when I was younger, so didn't get to follow it. So sorry.
Mr. Tom,
I was born when me won. I think he won the double that year. So there you go.
I don't know how any of these places have any wax left for these Brazilians.
Nothing against our new keeper, but I've never rated him. I would have rather kept Leno. It's just one of those things that.
Yeah. I don't think he should be worth a lot more to to everybody else in the world, but we're screwed on selling.
Assemble. Gary is the greatest Arsenal supporter the world has ever seen walk on this planet. These are Mr. Tom's words, not mine.
Mr. Tom don't get out much.
What?
Is
You
it
don't give
because
me
Gary
anything?
gave
You don't
him
give
a
me anything,
persist-
Stan, man. Come on, we're
Yeah.
supposed to be friends.
Gary
He's like,
gave him a promotion from
He
assistant.
needs some
assistant to
vitamin
co-host.
D, Stan. He needs desperately some vitamin D.
he's all right. Mr. Tom knows what he's talking about. All
That's
right,
sunshine.
let the man talk.
Tony, you son of a gun.
That
All
would be
right,
true.
Tony. Paqueta, listen, double digits if you go for goals in the Europa League as well. 2 goals from 9 games in the Europa League. So he knows his way around the Europa League.
What kind of position? Sorry, what kind of position does Paqueta play? Is he
Attacking
attacking
mid.
attacking midfielder? Yeah.
He's one of like the 16 attacking mids we need, and not worry about central midfield.
Well, we just bought Vieira.
Exactly.
He was kind of more in that mold,
Listen,
right?
I knew this was going to come up, so I'm going to ask the question: what's wrong with having a lot of attacking midfielders that we can rotate?
Do you need Vavic? Do you
I was
need?
going to say that there's nothing wrong with it if you've got
Paqueta.
defensive ones there, but when your priority's defensive, you know.
We've got a few defensive midfielders. We've got one that maybe is a
No,
box
we
to
don't.
box midfielder.
No, we don't. No.
We
We
have
don't.
none, Ray.
We have
Ray,
one
we
we
don't.
can't talk about.
No, we don't have enough. You know.
But
think-
I'll ask you one
Over the
question, then, Gary.
course of 24 hours,
How
we
many
had Carrera with
defensive?
us stay and be part of a project.
How many
Now he's out
defensive?
the door.
How many defensive midfielders does City have? How many defensive midfielders does Liverpool have in their squad?
We are
may have-
getting
they
beat
may have
up
less,
in the
but the ones that
midfield.
they've
We're
got are
getting
good.
beat up in the midfield, and it's because we don't have one. And you're telling me the
What's
best
our
teams in the
problem
world,
the
how many
last
do
3 or
they
4
have? They
seasons,
got
Ray?
a lot of they can afford. We don't have one. Our midfield needs to be fixed however you want to fix it.
What's been our
Attacking mid
weakest
isn't the
position the
place,
last 3
right?
or 4 years, Ray?
So I think that's the problem. It's not. We don't need another attacking mid.
Ray, what's been our weakest position the last 3 or 4 years? Why
Striker.
did we struggle at the end of the last season? Because we had no fucking midfield. We need central midfielders. not
You're talking
attacking
about
midfielders.
no midfield, but the players is
That's not
Granit
the question
Xhaka.
he asked you.
Is Granit Xhaka a defensive midfielder? No.
He's a central midfielder.
So
That's
those
what
are
we
the
still
type of
need.
players we are.
Paqueta
We
is
don't need a
not
million
is
cams.
competing with Erdogan. Do we need that?
No, not with Smith
Vieira's-
Rowe.
Gary,
Vieira is he's competing with Erdogan. Does that mean we need Paqueta now? That means 3 players for one position.
All right, hear me
potentially,
out,
right?
And DSR as well. You can put him in there.
But you're
So
saying
4
Gary,
players for one spot. We need the other spots to have depth or a replacement.
Agreed.
I just feel like we're after more attacking midfielders because of you've referenced Phil Foden that he doesn't need to play every game. You've referenced Kevin
We
De
don't
Bruyne.
have a legitimate backup
Then the-
for Partey.
Then the
Right?
Savic guy,
We don't
he's
have a
another
starter for
cam.
Xhaka. So there's
don't
at least
need
2
5
midfielders
cams.
there that
Why
we
do
are
need
lacking.
5 cams, Ray?
This is the Tony Gary dynamic we talked about at the start of the podcast.
Tony, they love us, but they hate us. I don't get it. Actually,
Hey,
they
we're
love you
agreeing
more. I
with
don't
each
know
other.
why.
We're taking on the big fucker up there.
They said we are the
Well,
negative ones at the bottom. That's why we
all
get
right.
the bottom slots.
Let's
And the guys at the
discuss
top
it.
are the bright, shiny, all is good running through the fields, you know.
We love both of you down there. We love both of you on the bottom.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen, we have Lokonga, we have Partey, we have Mohamed Al Neni. Would they not be defensive midfielders that can play the 6th role?
No.
Sambi
Not
Lokonga.
to the level.
Zombie is.
Yeah, but he hasn't looked good playing there. Partey can
All
do
right.
a job, but I don't want him to have to do that job.
El Nini's
I
a
wanna
central
push him up.
midfielder.
I want Partey to get pushed up the field, Xhaka out, and somebody replace the role that
Stan.
Partey has to
Yes,
do.
sir. Go ahead, Gary. Stan, I know where Gary and Tony are. They're against me on this. You're shaking your head. Are you against me on this, Stan?
From what I gather,
Fine if you are.
especially and it was mentioned from the game that we just played against Nuremberg that Sambi Lokonga looked a lot better after he was advanced out of the defensive role and went more into a sort of an 8 role. I think other than Thomas Partey, the next defensive midfielder that we have would probably be El Neni. I don't
wanna
see. I
consider
think
him a straight.
Jack is more of a liability when he plays deeper. He causes more accidents because his tackling involves being Mr. Grabby, which invariably leads to cards or us going down a man. When he plays when he plays more advanced, he's better. But somebody like a Tielemans playing in that Xhaka spot, he's kind of that in-between player. He's not an attacking midfielder.
Sorry.
He's not a defensive midfielder. He's that player that's in between, that does a little bit of both. But what we really need, I think,
Damn.
is a number 6.
Sorry, Stan. I'm
Okay.
just saying the damn equal access to all. Right? That's what happens. Next thing you know, they're running out of your dungeon or rolling out. In this case,
I think you just need advice from Mr. Tom in terms of how to do this. Do you know what I mean?
I told you I had the best, but I wasn't gonna pay top money for it. They only gave me an hour of their time. I'm not spending more. I just didn't have it.
BX
He's
Gunner
too busy
said,
doing other Arsenal podcasts, right?
BX Gunner said, Tony, if you wanted Rafinha, you'll definitely want Paqueta. You know,
I don't think they're the same.
quality. We're talking about quality.
No, but one's attacking forward on the top, in the front
What?
three. The other one is sitting back, right? One's
No.
like I said, one's competing for the role of Erdegaard.
In the
One
same
is
way,
going to start for us. Paqueta is not going to start for us, I think, right? Unless we go with a different formation.
he looks pretty good. It looks like he would.
So
walk
he pushes
the-
Erdegaard back if we continue with the same kind of formation we have. You
he
see
could
that
play-
coming?
He could play on the left. He doesn't have to play exclusively on the right.
So Xhaka goes out or Partey goes out.
Listen,
I think
You
Paqueta
told me
Paqueta left
something. I
eight, isn't he?
asked you the next question
I
in
think
line with
Paqueta
that.
could
You
slot
don't want to
into
answer
Xhaka.
it.
I'm
I
about
think
to.
Paqueta
Ray
could
hasn't
slot into
answered a
Xhaka.
question during this whole
I'm
segment.
about to.
You'd be looking at Partey deep, and then ahead of them on the right side forward, Odegaard on the left side forward, maybe Paqueta.
No, I was asking Ray to answer that. He wouldn't do it for some reason.
was-
But you
about
paid
to.
34 million for Vieira. Vieira's just gonna sit around and do nothing. And Smith Rowe. Where's all
I
these players
think-
fitting in?
I think, Gary, if you say you want all these Manchester City players so they can all play 26, 27, 28 games, and they give you 10 to 12 goals per person, why can't Arsenal do something similar? And buying Paqueta, Erdegaard, Vieira,
Because we have other holes that are more
and having
important
all
at this
of-
point in our
Oh, I get
development as
that.
a squad.
Well,
we have bigger holes to fill
let's
Hey,
wait
Ray,
until-
do we have a
than
second
to put in a
striker?
third attacking mid.
You wanna
If at the end of the window we don't have a defensive midfielder,
Do you know?
let's
Do you
look at
know?
this.
Ray, you're talking
I'll hold
about
my hands up.
Ray.
Yeah.
Let's say we had a car, right? We're making a car from scratch. You're talking about looking at fluffy dice and like those little trees that hang off of the smell. And I'm
And
like,
blue
we haven't got,
lights.
and I'm like, we haven't even got fucking
Yeah.
seats yet. Well, you
I
know,
want
we're a
blue
long way
lights.
off that, mate. We need
I
seats
want
and
those
wheels.
blue lights on the interior stand when you open the door. Blue lights illuminate.
I know he's
But
got.
that's at
He's
the
got.
end. Yeah,
he's-
we get to that at the end, but we ain't got wheels, seats, a steering wheel. All that shit
And,
needs to
the
come in.
woofer-
no,
man.
Ray's got the undercarriage lights, but no
Stereo.
tires, so you can't see it. So
We're
what's
up
the
on
point?
bricks.
Ray's
Cars up
got
on
the
bricks,
go
but Ray's
We're up
faster
on
stripes.
bricks, yeah.
He's got the
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
faster stripes ready to put on the side of the car, but we ain't got a side of the car yet, man. It's like,
So it's just flapping around.
Can I just say on this? I know Steve Denham's mentioned about Torreira, keeping Torreira potentially.
Yes.
I've not heard this, but
I heard it
like
yesterday, but this
Torreira. I
morning
think
I
he's a
heard that
cracking
he's
player.
leaving. So.
He's diminutive. He's quite small, but he's a little bit like a little terrier. And I really like him. I think he could do a good job for us. But my thought on that is that I can't see him staying. He seems to have made it really clear that he's
We
homesick.
can
He doesn't-
rotate players.
You know how many players have said, "I don't want to
Five
play
stars.
for you," and we keep playing them
He
anyway.
doesn't want. He doesn't want to be here. He's
No,
made it really quite clear.
Many
that he doesn't want to
many
be.
players have said the exact same thing, and guess what? We've seen him on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something we can do, and we can get the best out of him, and he will stay, fine, absolutely fine. I'd like to see him play for us, but from everything that's been said so far, quite consistently over quite a long period of time. I mean, we're probably talking 18 months or more. He's been saying, "Oh, I'm homesick. I don't want to be here. I've not been treated all that well. I want to go back." You know, I don't know why we've still got. I mean, obviously, I know he's been on loan, but as far as I was aware, he was going to go off on loan, finish his loan deal, and then good luck to you, and off you go. I can't see that happening. There's nothing that tells me from what
His
has been
agent
going
was
on
saying
for the last
yesterday that they said he was
that would
now part of the
change.
plans. Then
Right.
later today they said that
But
he
it's
was
not.
leaving
But it's
the
not down to
quarantine.
playing time, and it's down to how he feels he's been treated at the club, and how much he wants to be here in this country and playing in this league and playing for this club. I can't see that changing just because we say we're giving him a few more games. I can't see him staying.
If
Yeah,
Torreira
he-
had
but
come
he's-
out,
but he's going to come to Arsenal with all these negative things against saying you shouldn't even bother to show up because you don't want to be there. They don't want you to be there. All this stuff, but he's still showing up. So to me, which one is it? You know, because
if
he's not gonna get anything out of this
Where's
trip.
that come from, though? I don't know if Steve can say where that
Yeah.
conversation's come from. You know, in terms of the source, because that's quite surprising to me. I haven't seen
I
that
thought
yet myself.
his agent said it supposedly that Arsenal called him up and said, "We need you to go to the USA with us."
yeah, because he's still an Arsenal player.
So
you know,
so
he can't just.
so it can't be as bad as we think it is if he's going to make the trip.
Well, he has
Yeah, but
to
he's
make
gonna
the
have
trip.
Then you have
He's under
Torreira
contract.
today saying that he
If he's under
talked to
contract,
Jose
he's fucking
Mourinho
gotta
and
go.
wants to go there.
Yeah, he's being paid by Arsenal. He's got to still maintain his fitness, you know. But
What-
if Torreira had come out and said, "Look, you know, I wanted to stay at that other club, but there was a problem. But you know, I'm going back to Arsenal, and I'll always give it my best while I'm playing for them." Blah blah blah. That would be a different case. A little bit like we knew that Aaron Ramsey was going to be leaving at some point, but we still played him and he still gave us his best. But Torreira, it kind of comes across like he's, you know, I'm reading between the lines, but he's basically saying, "I can't fucking stand it in England."
Mhm.
Well,
Or
no, think about it.
Arsenal.
If you're
I
like
don't wanna do it.
like in some of our businesses out there, for example, if you're a programmer and you're disgruntled, and they don't want you to be there, they're not gonna keep putting you in situations where you can corrupt the system that they have in place, right? We talk about this, you know, the locker room dynamics that you want to keep. Now you've got a disgruntled employee in there working with all these other players trying to make the squad. To me, this is no different than the Aubameyang thing that we talked about, the Guendouzi behaviors, because they're not positive in the sense of they're more negative in terms of keeping the squad together. We bring in a player who does not want to be there.
Yeah,
No matter what he does, in the back of his mind, he's like, "I'm done with this place."
for different reasons.
I'd be
No, but
surprised
it
if he
doesn't
plays
matter.
for
It's the
us
same.
this season.
The continuity with the squad isn't there because he doesn't want to be there.
I'd be
So
surprised.
how
if he-
different is
if he
it? Why
pans
would
out
this
for
be
us.
any different than those other scenarios? To me, if the whole thing is about keeping the squad together,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't keep the squad together to have a player there that said, you know what, basically said out loud, "Arteta, you don't want me."
Yeah.
You
And
know, and Arteta may not have said that to him, or may have said it to him, but that information wasn't for anybody else's ears, right? So I kind of feel like it does a disservice a little bit to this whole team dynamic we keep talking about when you bring somebody on who
and
you don't
talk
one you
about-
don't want. You're going to sell them as
yeah,
you know.
we'll
I
talk about
understand you don't want to sell them for lower than the market value, but you don't want them.
But you have an obligation. You have an obligation to the player to help to make sure that he's maintaining his fitness. He's under contract. He's being paid by Arsenal, and I don't think that Lucas Torreira is the sort of guy that's gonna be walking around the changing room and constantly mumbling, "It's
Like a
fucking
hump,
shit.
yeah.
I can't fucking stand it." By all accounts, he can't speak much English anyway, so we probably wouldn't understand what he was saying if he was huffing and puffing. But I don't.
You
I
know what?
don't-
You can see people's body language. So yes, he may not be speaking in words, but like I
yeah,
said,
we
he's already.
can see it, Gary. Yeah,
The reports are out there. He doesn't want to be there. So for me,
I'm with Boona
I
Glenn.
think it's
I think he'll be gone by deadline day.
yeah. I just don't like. For me, it just drags down the whole process of keeping everything together and not having not necessarily Deadwood, but just players that are all in for Arsenal right now. You know what I mean? So. I get it, but I don't like that at all. He can practice in at London Colney if he needed to, if you're talking about fitness, right? Because is he going to play when he comes out? And does he benefit from that? Or does he take minutes away from somebody who's trying to fight for a spot in the squad? This is the only time they get to do
Well,
that in front
could
of
be both.
everybody.
he could be protecting some people from getting too many minutes.
And they might need those minutes to just show what they're worth, right?
Listen, situation would be he does very well at Fiorentina, which he did, and they pay 15 million, which we asked them to do, and they didn't. So there's Arsenal. It's going to be a slow process, but I think
There's
Arsenal
more than one Italian club, Ray.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's going to be a process, Tony, but Arsenal have to get better at this moving players on. And we're going to have to arrive at a situation sometime where there's a player we want to keep and it's going to be sold. We will have to be prepared for that in the next year. or two from now. You know,
Hey, where's my number 7 shirt?
Torreira.
See,
No, the player
Okay.
where that
Well,
lives
no,
in
we have a
Belfast.
number of good players. Can't be just that one. Stan?
I was going to say, you see, this is the problem with Arsenal. We price our players out of the market. So I was on Burkham Wonderland yesterday, and we were talking about Saka and about his next contract. And I'm of the opinion that we don't go all out and throw 300 grand at Saka for his next contract just
Correct.
to keep him.
Yeah.
I think that what the smart move is that his next contract should be somewhere around 120 to maybe 140.
Mhm.
And then you watch, he's still improving. We need a Saka to start hitting Salah and Mane numbers. For me, that's the benchmark for that position, those kind of numbers. And he's not there yet. You put him on a salary of about 120 to 140 and hope then that by the time that contract's finished, if we need to sell him, he'll have a salary that will be able to be negotiated with the buying team.
Definitely.
Or if we decide to keep him, it's because then he's improved these numbers, and then maybe that contract after that one is higher in value. I think if we go out and throw 300 grand at Saka now, we compromise ourselves as a club. We lose a lot of integrity. I think it unbalances the whole team. You'll have a lot of other players thinking, well, then shouldn't I be on a higher increase? We shouldn't be giving anybody, I don't think, any higher than what we've given to Gabriel Jesus at the moment. We're not at that place. So we have to be really careful with not pricing players out of the market when it's time to move them on. And that's the biggest
What's the
problem.
wages?
I was going to say Eddie and Kedia, because some people would say, well, why are we spending? You know, you just said it, but we just did maybe overpay for a player.
Severely overpaid.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Right?
I'd agree with you.
So you know, so as a player, like as a Saka or Martinelli or Saliba or whoever else was up for a contract, you're looking at that situation going, well, damn, I start for this squad, two, I'm much better than that player. Why shouldn't I get that money? And why should I be the one to set the example when you just showed that it doesn't, you know what, if you're desperate enough, you're going to pay it. So it kind of, like you said, it works
I'm not
against
gonna like
Arsenal
the
in
answer.
that sense. But
There's a
Or-
difference. I'm not going to like the answer. There's a difference in ability. There's a difference in age as well.
Or what I
doesn't
would
matter.
like to, or
He's
what I
not
would
worth 100 whether he's 18 or 30. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Well, what I'd like to see is perhaps you give a player like Saka a contract of, say, £120,000 a week, but then there's a lot of opportunities built into that contract where he will earn a lot more if he reaches certain targets. And I would like to think that, you see, I said this on the Burkamp Wonderland yesterday. That's how I'm used to working. You work in a company and you work in a sales job. You got your salary. You know that if you get 8 sales a month, you're going to get X on top. However, you get more than 8. You get 12. You get more. You get 15, and there's all kinds of incentives built in. And that's how I'd like to see it being meted out to Arsenal players. That if you believe in your talent, then you're happy to take a contract like that because you believe in what you can do. But the problem is, we have a generation now that believe that everything should be given to them on a plate. You know, hence when you get players saying things like, well, I don't want to go to that team, or I want to leave this team. Why do you want to leave that team? We didn't get into the Champions League. But it was your job to get us into the Champions League. If we didn't get into the Champions League, are you not to blame? So now you can just swan off, go to somewhere else that's already in the Champions League and move on? No, you should be able to work what you're doing. You get rewarded as you go along. But I worry that we're going to throw everything at Saka just to keep him and to keep the fans happy.
You're exactly right, Stan. We cannot throw crazy money at a young player like Saka. We're going to price ourselves out of a potential sale of that player as well.
Is what we offered him that crazy?
Who's going to pick up those wages of 300 grand a week?
That's not what we offered him. We offered a quadruple his salary early last season from 40,000 to 160,000.
And I think that's reasonable. Between 100 and 160 is reasonable. You're not pricing yourself out of a potential sale. We all know we would love Saka to be with us for the rest of his career. We talked about Jack Charlton, how many caps he's had for Leeds. We talked about David O'Leary. They spent their whole careers at their.
The problem is that offer's been on there for 8 months and he still hasn't accepted. So.
Well, wouldn't you want to look around and see what your club's going to do if they want to be competitive if they want to build a team capable of winning things.
Or
You
your
want to see
agent
what's
is saying
happening.
to you, don't sign it yet. If you go to the World Cup and you have a really good one, you'll be able to get maybe a little bit more.
And the thing with Eddie and Keddy, Arnie's right here. We didn't have to go out into the transfer market and pay 20 million for a new striker. And
That's not
part
the
of-
point, though. It's the resale.
We
The
still lack
resale
a
is the
third
problem. It
striker.
isn't always about just the money you pay in the fee for the
resale for
transfers.
who?
The
How many
player. If you can't,
strikers do we
like, if
need, Greg?
it doesn't work out for Nketiah, how do you sell him? Who's going to pick up that 100K a week?
I don't
way
think
too
that's-
much money.
I don't think 100K prices you out of a striker.
No, I'm
in this
saying, how
market.
do you sell them if you? The problem we were just
Who's
talking
that
about
paying
is
him 100
not
grand a week?
overspending on your players, so that if you have to make moves, you can. You price them out of like their own market, and then you have to hold on to them, right?
So do you think nobody's buying Eddie and Keddy next year if he doesn't work out at 100 grand?
They
Not-
might
not
for
for
100 100K a week, maybe not. Probably not.
Maybe not.
Probably
sure.
not. I don't think. I think it's too high as it is. So I'm gonna say no. I don't think somebody would be out there wanting to
I think
spend that money.
as long as he, unless he seriously crashes and burns this season,
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have an issue with that. If it was 140 grand, 150 grand, then yeah, you'd have an issue. But
We
100
can't
grand,
sell Xhaka. We can't sell Leno. We can't sell all these
And he
players
was
for
on
certain
full-
amounts of
That's-
dollars.
that's because the
No,
clubs
and
trying to
they
block
are they're better in their careers. We can't sell them at anywhere near their values. So for me to then turn around and go, Nketiah, who hasn't shown his value yet, that we're going to be able to sell that, I kind of find I don't see it right now.
Yeah,
I
but
don't see it.
the likes of Xhaka, you're gonna have a problem because of the red cards, the issues, those kind of things.
And
you
and what do
know,
you
it's-
and what does Nketiah have that it's not any different? You have lots of
Yeah, but
negatives.
he's
with
a
his game.
young striker with a hell of a lot of potential who actually last season started to show.
Tony, don't worry, I'll get you in. Go ahead, Matt.
He started to show actually a bit of what he can do. So unless he
Yeah.
crashes and burns, I can't see 100 grand being a massive.
That's all
barrier.
based on potential, though,
I mean,
right?
Christ, I think if you looked at the wage structure of most clubs in the Premier League, 100 grand, probably, half of 20-year-olds are probably on that now.
I don't
you
think
know.
so. I don't think they are.
No.
I don't think they are.
I don't think-
hopefully you won't
he's
see
too out
that.
of place. I don't
No.
think he's too out of place.
All right. Let us
He's
know
on
in the
money,
chat.
I don't think he's out of place.
Let us know in the chats if 100 million or 100,000 100,000 for Eddie
100 million
is
pounds.
pricing himself out of a move next summer if he gets only.
We already know the fucking answer, eh? For 40 to 70,000, Crystal Palace want to pay it. Other teams want to pay it last summer. That's why we're stuck with him. The player wanted to go, but Arteta loves him, so let's throw fucking more money at him. Let's throw 100 grand on him.
He could have walked away, and this is the thing that you're missing, Tony. Players
Yeah,
are
who's gonna
doing
walk
this.
away from 100 grand?
All players are doing this now at every club. A lot of players are doing this. They're running their contracts down, and they're going to walk away for free.
Salah.
If your salary gets doubled, are you walking away from your job, Ray?
Mo Salah. What?
If your salary at your job gets doubled, are you walking away?
No.
End of story.
Okay. Well, that's what happened, right?
For whatever fucking reason. I don't agree with it.
Now, Gary said he's right. He is yet to fulfill the potential that would say we're okay with paying you 100,000 a week. But it was a very, very small sample size. We saw it in 8 games. We need to see it in a full season. Stan?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I mean, if it doesn't work out, a club could come in and say, okay, we'll pay you 80 grand a week, but including bonuses and targets and that, it will actually work out to 110. You never know how these things work, but I don't think Eddie will be going anywhere within a year after giving him a 5-year contract. I think he's got at least a couple of years in that contract that he's going to be at Arsenal before any decision would be made. And who knows what happens in that time? He may come good. We really don't know. He's got goals in him. It's up to the training team and the manager now to continue to improve him, and for the player to want to improve. He's got someone like Gabriel Jesus around him who he can learn from. I'm not going to write Eddie off totally, but I still think that we should be bringing in either another striker or a goal scoring forward to help out. I think we've been shortchanged if we're not going to
Or
replace
four,
both
yeah.
Lacazette and Aubameyang. We
Or
had two went, two must be replaced, not one.
Devil's
We need
Devil's
three
advocate,
strikers.
or Devil's advocate here, Stan. More central attacking midfielders will get you 10 goals apiece.
Yeah.
Pissed off half of the panel. that's
How
I
many
do
can
it.
you play at once, Ray?
That's how I do it.
How many? Oh, no, there's not that many attacking. How many? Oh no, forget it. I'm not even gonna entertain that thought. You just no.
We've
Yeah,
seen
he's-
earlier.
You're trying to wow me up. I ain't
No,
going for it.
no, I'm not. I'm just trying to bring you around to a different way of thinking. If Manchester City are having all these midfielders scoring 10 goals, five midfielders
We are not.
scoring 10
Stop
goals.
it. We're not City. We're not Liverpool.
Why can't we aspire to
We're
it?
not- no, but we're not there yet. So to compare it, we're still
No.
trying to get a starting 11.
Ci-
Ray,
City
please
weren't
give me
there
a starting
until
11, and then
City-
we can start talking about
Yeah.
how our depth
Ray wants to
equals
play
that
a
of City.
3-1-4-2
It doesn't make any
with 4
sense. We
cams
don't
across
Sorry,
have
the
Ray,
a
field.
starting 11.
Gary, City weren't there until City were there. Saying we're not there. Sure, we're not there, but can't we go on the path?
Can we go on with El Nini, Zaka,
Stephen
Partey
OT.
that we've only seen for 2 months? Midfield needs strengthened, not attacking midfield.
I
Fuck.
will go along with what
Not that
Steven
difficult.
says here. If Eddie gets 12 plus Premier League goals, he's worth it. Look at what we had previous. We're looking at Gabriel Jesus. I'm setting him at about 15 Premier League goals. Let's remember, not many players get 20 plus in this league.
Yeah.
So 12 plus for Eddie Nketiah, 15 plus for Gabriel Jesus. That would make me pretty happy. And listen, you're going to hate me saying this, but central attacking midfielders chipping in with goals as well.
No, I just wanted to see
Thunder again.
17 players in the Premier League who play forward make over 100,000 a week.
How many,
17.
Gary?
17.
17.
So
Is that it?
yeah, that's it. Based
That's
on
one.
based on
That's
this slide I'm on
surprising.
right here, right? Attack forwards. Yeah,
That's an eye-opener, actually. I thought it'd be a hell of a lot more than that.
I don't think teams are spending that much money on their players. We think they are because of sometimes the fees that we pay, but
'Cause
the
we pay
salaries
'em.
don't always add up, right?
No, that's an interesting stat, actually, Gary.
Yeah,
I would have thought it'd been a lot more than that.
Like for example, here's players making just under 100. Bowen, Jota, Martinelli, some guy called Delera at Newcastle. I'm not Tammy Abraham when
Martinelli.
he was around. Mora,
Just
Silva,
under.
Traore,
70,000.
Buendia, Watkins. I mean, these are all, players that.
Some of them have not hit the heights that would guarantee. Would you pay Buendia 100,000 a week?
Well, you're saying that it's okay to pay Nketiah, so I think you just. I believe you're on my side that they're not worth 100.
It's skewed though, right? Because Mane only earns 100. You'd think that he'd be earning a lot more, which is
You
probably
would,
the reason
yeah.
why he's wound his contract down and wants to go to Bayern Munich. Because you'd think that 100 grand for Mane, you'd think he'd been a lot more than that, right? You know, at least maybe 140, maybe.
You don't always get value for money then. 100,000 a week for Buendia, Ollie Watkins. They're not setting the world alight. I'm sorry.
That's
Good
why
agents,
I'm
though.
saying that I think Eddie at
Good
100 is
agents,
really
yeah.
over the top. I don't think. I mean, we'll see if we get our money's worth.
Yeah, we want that.
I'll
We don't want
preface
that.
everything I say.
Yeah.
I want Eddie to prove us
Yeah.
wrong. I want Eddie to show us what we saw in the last 10 games of his Arsenal. You know what we saw from him last season. But I don't want us to see what we saw from Pepe, because Pepe had a really good 16 games the season before that. And guess what we saw in the next season? We saw the drop again, and we're like, damn it.
Look,
Can we build on it? And I think yesterday he looked good out there. So I'm saying I just want to see it again. And I'm
Yep.
not, until I see it, I can't say, I can only
And
go
look-
by past experience and past, observations of what's out there.
Eddie
So,
is going to give us. We all know this now, right? This season, Eddie's going to give us games where we're going to be We're going to be. Why are we paying all this money?
I'm
for
going to say that about Jesus as well. So I'll just say that everybody on the team is equal. I'm going to equal opportunities when it comes to like, damn it, we're paying all this money to do the job, right?
It's going to happen. 100 million, 100. There I go. 100 million, 100,000 does not always translate into
Yeah,
goals, but we want
Ray's
to.
wanting to give him a hell of a raise.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, So I asked Alexa today. 26 days till the start of the season. We've got 4 games left: Everton, Orlando, Chelsea, and we come back to the Emirates Cup for Sevilla. I don't know if there's more than one game. They've got one game down. The Arsenal administration are probably not caught up. There's probably more than one game that weekend for Arsenal. But 26 days till the ball is kicked in anger. And hopefully it was 26 days for Edu
How complete is our summer?
players in.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm concerned that we're not going to have all the numbers we need to start the season, so we don't have to worry about. All right, we still have some more players coming in, and the season's already started, right? So,
Well,
I know it's nice to have, but it doesn't help us. Like, we still have to wait for them to get all acclimated and all that stuff moving over and all that, and then maybe it's a month again. It's an extra month by the time that they're really situated in the squad from both a professional and family kind of lifestyle that they need to live. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes some time for that to happen. So I would like that to happen during the summer when things are lax, right? When you have games going on once and twice a week, then it gets difficult. So I like easy. That's why I want it done today, so that it's easy. It's easier. You don't have to deal with that stuff later
We
on.
all won. Yeah, we all
I
won.
wanted it done 2 or 3 weeks ago, Gary. What are you talking about?
Stan, you're sitting on something, Stan?
well, we've already brought in 5 players. I'm including William Saliba in that because he's never played for Arsenal. And I think that we're going to be bringing in at least another 2, maybe another 3. So that could be around 8 players coming in on top of all of those fresh faces that we brought in the last window. I think that's a hell of a job. I mean, it's very rare that you see a team bring in those many players in one window. That's a FIFA window where you do that thing at the beginning where you give yourself the extra cash and you just go out and buy like 12 players in that first window. It's almost like that. It's unprecedented,
But
it
you
does
also
show
had
you.
just as many go out the door.
Yeah, but it's a two-way street, Tone. We were just saying a moment ago before you worked out the puzzle rooms about us not getting our pants pulled down by other clubs, right? Like, look at what happened, as we mentioned, with Torreira. We had the deal all set up of how much they were obligated to buy, and they came back with an offer half that price. They would never have done that to any other team. No, they wouldn't. But they try it on with Arsenal because that's how we've set ourselves up. So I get it that I think that we're going to see a few players going out maybe on that last day. Maybe maybe we'll buckle. Maybe we won't get the exact price, but maybe we'll be able to negotiate somewhere in the middle, like Gary said, which would be nice. But I do think that a couple more will go out, and who knows? I mean, you might see a surprise go out if we bring in a couple more midfielders. You may see a Granit Xhaka go out because I'm not so sure whether he has the stomach to fight for his place, or will balk at the prospect of being benched for large portions of the season, because he's got good legs, isn't he? He could go for a whole season and play. So you never know, something like that may happen. There's a month to go, and we've seen surprises on that very last day. Remember Mesut Ozil, right at the last minute, and that no one knew nothing about that. So who knows what could happen? As long as it's not Mesut Ozil again on the last day, I hasten to add.
Yeah. The return of Mesut Ozil, which is going to bring me nicely on to the next topic. We're going to talk about Jack Wilshere and the return of Jack Wilshere. I've got the movie 28 Days in my mind, Glenn. From 26 days to go. Let's hope. Can't remember the ending, but it was pretty bleak movie. Looking forward to seeing Vieira against Everton. Great movie. I love it.
28 weeks later, right?
Expect us to have a better season this year. What's that, Tony?
So then you had 28 weeks later.
28 weeks later as well.
That Christmas window, also January window.
that seemed like
That's the sequel, yeah.
Giving Eddie $100,000 to be a backup is complete madness. 70, 80 is more palatable. 100,000 upwards, depending on goals, is acceptable for any club. He's going to get quite a bit of game time, and we shall see. We'll be watching Eddie out there. And
just remember, we're not like he scored goals for us in the cup games and stuff, right? So he had over 10 goals total, but that's not the ones that count. Those aren't the ones we go, all right, yes, we got a legitimate backup there because we need goals in the Premier League. So that's where he's going to earn that salary.
Well,
right?
the other thing is, Gary, we won a European trophy at the end of the season, and he's going to earn his corn by scoring goals in the group stages.
He's got lots of opportunities to help us win. Earn. I don't think he's out with a lot of the fans because of that number, but we all want him to do good, but we just haven't seen it yet. So we're just like, well, it's just going to be. We keep waiting for the next game, the next season, the next this, and when do we stop?
No, Alonso in the house. All right. So Jack Wilshere is coming home. He's going to be the under-18 head coach. I was a little bit disillusioned with Arsene Wenger when he sort of kept all of these previous players away from the club. And now, say what you like about Arteta. Listen, some people don't like him. Some people do like him. Some people are on the fence about him. But he is inclusive. I don't think he is very worried about his position.
Except for that Freddie guy. That Freddie guy can go fuck off somewhere.
Freddie Ljungberg?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
You think he did a bad job?
No, I'm talking about Arteta. He said adios.
Oh, I thought you were saying we should have done that. I was
No.
like, I think that was some really bad business, what I thought.
I think part of that was Freddie as well. He just needed to he needed to get out and do his own thing.
I don't think he was getting any love from the squad, from the team. Yeah.
He's doing
It's
a
not
great job with
when you've been given that interim caretaker job and then Arteta comes in, sticking around. It's a bit of an awkward position to be put in, isn't it?
Yeah. He should have never been on the squad. Once Arteta came in, she went back to his day job essentially, and they didn't. I guess they wanted him out because he was, I believe, doing a good job with the youth, right? So I think they didn't want him around. That's kind of my thinking, and I think that was a bad decision.
But
No
who
loss-
did Saka and all the
Tony.
young players say was helping?
No loss
him come
between
along?
Tony and Arteta.
It
Tony's
was
swearing. Alonso's chilling, just watching the NASCAR race.
Big surprise.
Martin Truex, Dan. Hopefully he's having a good race.
Martin Truex Jr.
Junior. I knew that, but I wanted to be corrected. I so often I just need.
Let's go in a left circle, everybody.
I like-
Yay.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with circles, Tony. Name the podcast after circles. Stan. So Arteta's the manager, Edu's the technical manager,
They are.
former Invincible. Mertesacker served us well. He's the manager of the Arsenal Academy. And now Jack Wilshere is going to be the under-18. I love this. He's coming back to Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, this is a player that was, I kind of put him in that category up there with Thomas Rosicky and Diaby. Players that, had really unfortunate injuries that didn't allow them to fulfill their full potential. There was that one season when I think Jack Wilshere didn't play any games. I think there was one season when he only played 2 games. I always felt that he could have scored more goals, but the goals that he did score were usually really cheeky ones or really beautiful ones or ones that really were important in the game. And I think it's always a good idea when you have somebody like Jack Wilshere who has a good reputation with fans and with the club to come back and pass it on to the youngsters. I mean, this is a player that got man of the match playing for England 5 times in a row. 5 matches in a row. You would think that at some point a striker would have been in there to, get in between 5 in a row, because it's all about strikers in the modern game and they're important goals. But Jack Wilshere managed to get that accolade. So I'm really glad that he's coming back. It's a shame that his career is ending so early, because you'd think that, most footballers now have to look after themselves. Look at Ronaldo; they go until like they're 37, go off to play in America, where it's not so taxing for them. So I'm glad that he's settled in well with his coaching. And you know what? I've been catching him on Talk Sport. He appears quite a lot on Talk Sport now with Goldstein, and he's quite a good talker. I've never really heard him talk so much. You get the snippets in the interviews and that, but hearing him on that show, you get to understand more of what he's about, and he seems to have a good level head on him. He's a very sort of a chilled person. His tone always seems to be the same. He doesn't get overexcited about anything. And the last thing I'd like to say about Jack Wilshere is he'll always endear himself to the fans after that time, asking everybody what they thought of Tottenham from the roof of that open
Little
double-decker
bus,
bus.
yeah. Brilliant.
Hey, If you hadn't have said that, Stan, I would have definitely. That's legend status right there. Matt, of course, there's like a lesson here for Bukayo Saka in particular into the club. Unfortunately, look at Jack Wilshere's career at Arsenal, and he played too many games, too young,
He did.
picked up injuries, and was never the player. He could still be playing right now into his 30s. If it wasn't for that, there's a lesson here for Bukayo Saka.
And Arteta, because ultimately Arteta has to manage these young players and the game time they're getting, their development, their bodies, their physicality. You know, it's a tough league. You know, so many foreign players come into this league and really struggle to adapt because of the physicality and the pace of it. You know, when you've got a young kind of British-born, you know, player who's come through the ranks in the English leagues, who's already knows what it's all about, you know, he's going to already have some mileage on his body, even at a young age. You know, you're going to have to really be careful with how you bring these players in. And last season, I think Saka was the only player to play all games last season in the league. You know, so we know he can do it, but do we really want to push him that far to make him do it? And that's the question. I think this is where having those attacking players, having the options, having the strength and depth and the confidence in our options to say, actually, Saka, you're our star boy, but we're going to take you off because I've got confidence now that I've got someone as a second backup to you to bring on, because he hasn't had the confidence clearly in Pepe to do that.
We can use one of them attacking midfielders or he wants. Five attacking.
Ray's not agreeing with you. All right, just make sure that's known. You might seem like it because he said attacking mid, but it wasn't an agreement in what you were talking about. So he's not your friend.
An endorsement. I'll take an endorsement.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even close. He just mentioned a word.
But yeah, you've got to have depth,
midfielders.
And this is what this window is all about, isn't it? It's getting strength and depth to be able to make sure that you've got confidence. You've got someone on the bench that can come on and do an equal job to Saka or give you something different in a game which we haven't had. Otherwise, like you say, you're going to end up with a Wilshere situation where you have a massively hyped player for all the right reasons, but you absolutely play him, you know, beyond what he's capable of physically, and you burn him out, and they end up getting injuries. And none of us want that. So, but like Stan says, I'm really happy. And do you know what? One of the things I really, really like about Arteta is that he's not precious. He's not worried. He's obviously a very confident individual in his own skills, his own skill set and his ability. He's not worried about bringing former influences like, you know, the Wenger influences, having him around, you know, having former players, you know, like Wilshere at the club. He's not worried about that. He's very secure in his own abilities. I think other managers wouldn't be so confident or happy in doing that. And I think that shows a lot of strength in his management and his leadership that he's able to do that. I think Wilshere would be great. Like Stan says, I've seen him on a couple of interviews and he does seem very level-headed. He's an Arsenal man through and through. He absolutely loves this club. You know, he's a fan first and foremost as well as we are. He knows the club inside out and he absolutely knows the values. And why wouldn't you want somebody who absolutely eats, breathes, sleeps Arsenal at the club with arguably some of the most important age group in terms of their development at that kind of pivotal part of their career, you know, that 17, 18.
Just to let him give cigarettes to him.
Well, yeah, no, true. But do you know what? That's life experience. That's experience as a young player. He knows the pitfalls. He's made the mistakes. He's been there, done it. He's one of them. You know, and that's invaluable.
Stan, I saw
So I think it's to have people like that at the club. You know, you want the Arsenal family there. They'll learn a lot from him.
I saw Stan smiling, so he's got something funny.
I was just chuckling because why not? He's not unhappy that Jack Wilshere has been made the under-18 head coach. He's disgusted, absolutely disgusted by it. So I don't think I think he has. He's got coaching badges, and I think he's got somebody over him as well that he's reporting to. I don't think he's just like the sole person. I think he's working within a team. But to say that you're disgusted by it, I think is a bit strong. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Abue's coming in to coach him. Do you know what I mean?
And
Oh,
look,
Glenn Helder.
Yeah,
we love the discussion. We're not building a channel here. We're all going to say yes to each other. That's clearly not the case with Gary and myself, Tony and Gary at times as well. But that's what you want. You want this kind of discussion, right, Gary?
Yeah, no, I guess I'm gonna be on the negative side, I guess, because I guess there's a couple of things with that.
Because Gary didn't want him taking.
Are you
this
also
job.
disgusted, Gary?
One, I'm not disgusted, but I
Okay.
kind of feel like it's
Phew.
it
Why
may
not?
not end well,
Why
right?
not?
Because do you want to have to fire Jack Wilshere because he doesn't do a good job?
but he's an employee, Gary.
No,
At the end
I
of the
know,
day,
but it's
and
not
I
an
think-
employee because you guys just built him up for all
No,
these
no,
things.
but
No,
there is the understanding, Gary, that he is an employee, and
No,
If
you're
he
not
doesn't
letting me even
perform, he
finish
doesn't-
my point.
All right. We'll hear you out. We'll hear you out.
You're building him up for all these things that actually have nothing to do with coaching a player, right? All these things have nothing to coach. Like, that's why I'm saying it's early in his coaching career, yes. And would somebody else have gotten a job as, I'm not necessarily, why not kind of throws up the flare and says, wait a second, hold up. He might go a little
You
bit too
see
far
it.
with some of the wording, but those are things to take in mind when you're bringing in a coach like that, right? Does he actually really have the qualifications to be an U18 coach and get these players prepared for the U23s and whatnot? Are we going to continue to see these younger players under 18, like a Patino, be too qualified to stay there and have to get pushed up? Those are the things we're going to be looking to see because we've seen it before. So we expect to see similar things like that going forward. So that's why I'm like, it's. And then if you have to fire him, how's that going to look? Because we don't do too good with those type of hard decisions.
that was Steve
sometimes,
Bold.
right?
But
Right?
but we had him in
No,
there.
we're talking about a head coach, right? We're talking about a head coach of, or
Yeah, Steve Bold
Yeah.
was the head coach of
Yeah.
under 23s or lower grade, right?
So, like I said, I think it's it's a tough thing to do, though, is what I'm trying to say.
it is.
But we've had him in
think
there,
so.
right? We had him in there
I
last
don't know.
season doing coaching with, I think, the first team or the under 23s. So they've had a look at him. They've seen him doing his coaching, and they've obviously thought, you know what, he's probably good enough to do it with the under 18s. Let's
Well,
put
I
him
know,
in there.
but the players, the coaches that we've brought in before have actually been doing it, just not at a big established. Like, this is once again similar to this whole Arteta discussion. Well, they haven't coached as a head coach anywhere, so we're going to give it to one of the bigger clubs in London, in
You've
England,
got to
right?
start somewhere.
So, yes, but nobody
got to give
usually.
them the first
Everybody has said
opportunity.
we would rather have brought in a manager with experience, right? I believe everybody would have been happy to see that because they know what they got. So this is no different.
He's in a team. He's not just coming in on his own.
He's leading these guys at
Brand
some
new.
point. That's why they get fired, right? That's why some of the past managers have gotten
I'm
fired
sure
because
he'll
they
be
weren't doing
taking
their job.
advice.
We keep saying it's a team. It's not. He's the head coach of the U18s. It can't just be, well, he's just one of 5 guys, because I don't think that's the case. I think
Yeah,
he
but
does have some responsibilities that are going to be on his plate that an experienced manager may be able to handle a lot better than him because they've done it before. Just not at this level, not with this squad. So, yes, and
Still
all
makes
this,
me
like,
think
they're
that.
going to hold on to him longer because of all these other things that he can bring to the table. Like, he played for Arsenal. He was, a beloved player for this squad.
But you know
So
what,
they're
Gary?
gonna give
He's an under 18s coach. He's not being put in charge of the under 23s. He's not a first team coach. He's an under 18s coach. And like Stan said, he's going to be part of a wider team. Yes, there is a sentimental element to it, and I get that. Like, I was the first. I was absolutely clear and very first to say when we were thinking about bringing him back a few months back, whatever in the season, when it was mooted that he might make a comeback and sign for a short-term deal. I was very much no. That is sentimental at its worst. Do not give him a playing contract. But you know what? Coaching is so much more than just drills on a training pitch. You've got a mentoring side of that. There's so much more to that role that he's got to offer as an ex-Arsenal player playing at the level he's played at, made the mistakes he's made. He's he's in a fantastic position to be able to influence young players.
Part of what
who-
you're saying, yeah, I was gonna say part of what you're saying sounds like a life coach to me, and not a football coach.
Yeah, but that's
Two different
part,
things.
That's part of coaching,
No,
No,
Gary.
it's
You know,
part of it, but it's
that's
not
part
all of it.
coaching.
Because I want
No, it's
you want
not.
somebody who
Let
can
me get
actually
it back in.
who can actually teach all the positions on the team.
But you
Get
can
it-
teach, Gary. You can teach coaching badges. You can't teach experience, and you can't teach that
Life
coaching
experience.
element.
Yeah.
You can take somebody. You could take any one of us, put us on a UEFA B badge or whatever, and great, we're qualified. But we won't have any of that experience as a player, any of those life experiences that he's gone through as a young footballer. That's so important. He'll be getting his badges. Yes, he'll be going through all of that. And like any other coach, if it doesn't work out, we say goodbye. And do you know what? If it doesn't work out, yeah, it's sad. You know, it's Jack Wilshere. We want it to work out. But I would rather give him that opportunity and have somebody at the club who knows the club and has our values and knows what it means to be at Arsenal Football Club than give it to someone else.
I think we're
in a similar position.
overvaluing the badge and playing for the badge and knowing how to play for the badge sometimes over the actual job at hand, right? Because you want to bring these players up and get them ready for the next level, whatever that may be for them, right? They're all going to be at different levels. So that's where my concern is. He might be good in years to come, but I think it's hard for me to believe that we couldn't have found a better manager to come in and do the job. I believe that.
You raised some good concerns about it, Gary, but I think there's more upside than downside to this. And of course, the
I'm more
downside.
concerned about
It's
the
risk.
coach.
Yeah,
I'm more
absolutely
concerned about the
risk.
football stuff. You guys are talking about the other stuff as well, which is just as important. But I think it's got to be a happy medium.
You're-
And I don't believe that if you get proper managers in there, they wouldn't be able to bring that to them, because we just did that with our U23 coach that we brought in. He came in with experience. He was really good. We got those players ready, and he was good enough that, you know what, somebody said we're going to give him a chance as a head coach at a higher league, right? So that's what we've brought in, right? Arsenal has brought that type of in, not like he's never on
Right.
for like, we can't count like how many years has he actually been sitting on a sideline behind a head coach. He's not done that yet.
All right,
Right?
Gary,
It's
question.
been spot duty here and there. So
Question,
Question for
Gary.
you.
Can you name me the under-18s coach at Liverpool and tell me what their accolades are, who they've played for, what they've done, what they bring?
I
When
don't
you've
think.
done that, tell me the one at
Well,
Chelsea.
how can we?
tell me the
How
one
can
at
you say?
Tottenham.
How can you guys do
You
the
don't
same
know
and
these
say?
people.
No, neither do you. You don't
but
know
you're- but I
either.
know,
So how
but
can you say he's a
but-
good fit?
But
How can I be wrong?
You're,
We're not
you're
saying-
talking. You're talking
background
like
and
we're
you
doing
do like
something.
this. All
You're
you have
talking
is
like we're
just
doing
what he
something
has.
abnormal to
No,
everybody
it
else.
can't go both ways, Stan.
Yeah, but you're talking like we're doing something abnormal to everybody else.
You don't
And
know.
we're not.
Are we?
We're not. If we were doing something abnormal to everybody else, you'd be able to name all of these top level managers or top level players that have now the
Exactly.
under 18 coaches at all these other
I
teams.
don't. I
But you
think. I
can't.
think you're just
But
playing.
you
You're
can't
playing
do
both
that.
sides. You want to win on your side, so you bring that up.
Can I get
Because
the
you
What do you
don't
mean?
know either.
Hold on. What do you mean I want to win on that
No,
side?
because
so I bring it
you're
up?
saying that just because I don't know all the other managers that are U18s, that what I'm saying doesn't carry much weight. I think it carries a lot
What?
of weight because that's the job. I'm mostly concerned about the job. The job is to get these
I guarantee
U18
you, though,
players
right?
in a
If you
certain
did the
position.
research to look at
Yeah.
who they were, you would find that the appointments are of a similar ilk to what Jack
Similar,
Wilshere is.
I don't
You will
think
find
that's
that.
I don't
You'll
know.
find
I
that.
don't know.
You'll
It's
find
hard
that.
to
You'll
find.
find that a lot of them are ex-players that were connected to the club in one form or another, and it's the club that have given them that route into being.
I don't think you'll find
to being
any
a
that were
coach.
under
That's how it's
23
usually
or
done.
under 18
So
as their
what I'm
first
trying to
job.
say is that Arsenal aren't doing anything abnormal or different to anybody
I
else.
totally disagree.
And if he gets his
I don't
badges,
think so,
who
but,
cares? If he's got his badges and he's competent, that's what matters. So if he's getting his badges and he gets those signed off and he's got those qualifications under his belt, plus he's got his experience as a player, what more do you want from someone coaching an under 18s, at that level? I just don't get the problem with it, really. Yes, it's a risk. Yes, it's sentimental, but
All right.
appointing anyone's a risk.
So-
It's a risk, and why?
So, to Stan's point, and I didn't know this because I had to Google it, right? Jay Spearing is a former Liverpool FC player. He's come back to be the full-time coach with the under-18s group.
What was his
Chelsea?
first job, though?
Chelsea, Ed Brand. He was a
So,
former Chelsea
yeah.
player as well.
Look, look, 18-year-old, you will be held accountable as a coach. If you're not doing the right job, you'll be moved. You won't keep the job at Arsenal. So I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's that sentimental. I think it's slightly sentimental. Yes. It's
Look, I'm
most-
not saying it to be like controversial or just to have a dig, but I just don't agree with Gary's sentiment on this. I just don't. You know, to me, it sounds a bit nitpicky. Like it's like looking for something that isn't really there.
in everything,
You know,
there's an
I
upside.
I don't believe
I just
looking for
disagree with you
all the
really
pieces
badly
as
on
a
this
manager
one, Gary.
as being like nitpicky, and that's the job.
I think there's an upside and a downside to everything. And like I said, we talked about at the start of the podcast. There's a debate in every issue. You can take the positive part. You
Can
can
I
take the
comment on
upside
it
and the
now?
It's
downside.
great debate. It's great debate, and it's good that we don't all agree because it would
Tony.
be boring. wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We've all kind of had a say, and Tony's sitting back. He's able to digest all of this. So give us something good, Tony.
Well, I sat here last summer saying Jack should retire. He was washed up. Been at Arsenal for 10 years. Never really accomplished much because he was immature. Got suspended 3 times for smoking. Still would go out in public, smoke. Here he is, just earning his coaching badges. First job. Let's go straight to under 18 manager. Nope. To be one of assistants or plenty of assistants. Can work on set pieces, can work on midfield, can do a lot of other things besides team. Doesn't have the experience to do it. I don't think those other players that Stan mentioned their first job was enough for that.
So I got one question for you, Tony. Wouldn't you have liked Patrick Vieira to have this opportunity under Arsene Wenger?
He went and
Where did he go? He went to Manchester City.
He went to Manchester City, then went to their
Yeah,
other club.
because he didn't have
worked-
the opportunity at Arsenal to stay within the Arsenal group. Let's
Yeah,
say.
but he gave Mertesacker chances. He's given other players chances.
Like to say, Mertesacker.
Yeah.
He walked straight into the under 23s, didn't he? After being a side coach and working at the club,
Yeah.
they saw what he did and they said, you know what, we think he's good enough to do the
Yeah,
under
but that's
23s.
basically what he worked on his
He's
last
doing a
2
good job.
3 years. That's what he worked at for several years.
Several years. No, he was quite soon after playing. He didn't stop playing and then
he
go
retired.
coaching for
He
5 or
was
6
working on
years.
his coaching badges while he's still with us.
Yeah.
So was Jack Wilshere.
He did it when he was already out of the game, basically, right? He did it the last time he was coaching with us. He was still working on his badges then. We're not talking. It's just like a year ago. We're talking about working on his badges. So I mean, I know we're not going to agree on it, but I think there's a sentimental and then there's the job responsibilities.
Whether he qualified to get his badges 5 years ago or this year, he's fully qualified to coach. So someone has to give him an opportunity to coach. And we're just, he's not walking into the head coach's job like Mikel Arteta did. He's starting at a bit of a lower route. So it's up to Jack now to prove himself, to work his way up the ladder. And that's probably what this is all about. They're looking at Jack Wilshere and thinking, perhaps this guy's got the personality, the attitude and the talent to be groomed to maybe be a future Arsenal head coach one day in maybe 6 years' time. Who knows? But you got to start somewhere, and you got to start in house.
This is a player who couldn't find the club until recently. He had to go drop down into a lower Danish league to find the club.
That's why he should have retired last year.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty hard when you want to play, I suppose. But I'd rather our club reach the hand out and try to give him an opportunity than some other club grab him. Patrick Vieira went to Manchester City, went to New York, and now he's at Crystal Palace. He may come back to the Arsenal in the future, but
He won't come back, Ray, because we didn't offer him the
so
job.
you don't think Patrick Vieira could be a future Arsenal manager?
When he got snubbed twice, no interview. No, I don't think he would.
Okay, remains to be seen. Who would have thought that a summertime podcast we'd have nothing to talk about? Well, I think we had enough to debate today, and we came down on different sides of it, and that's what it's all about, right?
And we had a super sub.
Who's that? Yeah, you, Tony.
I think the numbers dropped once somebody joined, so I don't know.
Tony
Is it a
was
super
released.
sub or not? I don't know.
Tony was released. Now, a few comments and then we'll get out of here. I want my club to be the team, to be the best, my players to be the best. Therefore, must be coached by the best.
Pretty there, like me
On
and
that
Gary
level.
being on the same
Who the
side.
heck is Wiltshire in the coaching world? He retired on Friday. Yeah, listen, that word potential is there. He has the potential to be anything, and we'll see. Manchester City have a better everything, academy, facilities, etc. Mr. Bungles here.
Hey, Ray.
Yep.
Do you know nobody pays attention to your diatribe, the summaries of your damn podcast?
I do it for you, Tony. I do it for you.
That's why we're stuck at. You're stuck at
The
400.
wind up.
That's why you're stuck at under 400.
The more you complain about it, the longer the
yourself.
description.
Let's get 500.
Who reads the descriptions in the YouTube? It previews what we're going to talk about. So
Wow, what else do you do with your time, Ray? You just sit
takes
there
Nothing,
and-
10
man.
minutes, Tony. Takes 10 minutes. The geezer, Gary, Tony, Ray, Stan the man. That's Matt.
Hey, it's the bundle.
The geezer next to Ray.
Hi, Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, Tony. The more you complain about it, the longer they're going to get. So I do
I
it for
got you
you.
down to like 1 or 2 seconds.
Why
Oh,
are
that's
we
enough.
considered Batman villains? Huh? What's up with that? That implies something. What if we are the superheroes and you all are the villains? You know? Come on.
Didn't Wenger give Henry a chance? Unfortunately, he wanted to criticize Arsenal players on TV. Wenger gave him a choice: TV or coaching. He chose TV. All right.
Then
So,
he chose coaching afterwards.
is there final? Who wants to go first on final words, final thoughts?
I guess I will. Yep. So I guess what you said, we'll see all some of our big players coming in tomorrow. That should be good. Hopefully we have a couple of players that have to make a late minute flight out to the USA. I would love to see that. It'd be nice to have 2 going out, but I'll take one. But hopefully we have another player coming in this week. That'd be really good. I think the preseason match was really good for everybody involved. We got to see what we wanted to see. Everybody's happy with Jesus. I think we're going to hopefully see a lot more of that. That's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, we want another new player to come in and kind of showcase his skills just like that. That would be really good to see. So I guess hopefully Vieira and Marquinhos will be able to do that for us in one of these next couple of games. So looking forward to seeing them out there. Saka out there. I think it'd be nice to see us with a full squad up to now and have some of those players all playing together and see how they do. Looking forward to seeing that because I want to see more smiles like I did in that second half. So, yeah, that's my take. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you,
on the
Ray,
trip,
Matt,
on the trip.
Stan, and Tony. So, yeah.
Intriguing discussion and debate, chaps. Great stuff all around. And listen, the interesting thing about debate, especially when it's Arsenal, we won't get the answer tomorrow or the day after. It will be, we're going to wait and see what happens with Eddie and Keddy. We're going to wait and see what happens with Jack Wilshere. Quite enjoyable. Thanks, assembled. Stan, you want to go next?
For me, it's going to be really interesting to see who we take out with us to America, and I'm obviously I'm kind of talking about what we're not allowed to talk about, and I think that depending on who doesn't get on that plane may
Who aren't we allowed
determine.
to talk about? Because I think I guess I'm a
Apparently
little slow here.
Apparently, we're not allowed to mention Thomas Partey's. Oh, I said it. We're not supposed to mention.
You know,
his
it's
name.
funny. I did
three
talk about
times.
that yesterday. So
You say it 3 times, we'll turn up behind you like the Candyman.
Uh-oh.
Right, but if he's not on the plane, then that may determine like who we're going to be looking at and bringing in. Because if that situation isn't resolved and he doesn't make that plane for whatever reason, then we may have to turn our attentions to another position that may need to be filled really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Arteta and Edu handle that, because this is part of their job description. You know, it can't all be plain sailing. They've got a bit of a bump in the road here that they've got to deal with. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it.
We'll see what happens. He's been cleared. We shall see what
I think
happens.
he's only been cleared of one of the acquisition, one of the issues. The other one, I think, is a new one. So,
Matt has got his Sunday dinner on the table, so we're going to excuse him in 60 seconds. You don't have to wait for Tony's.
What's his countdown? Am I going to get the clock in the background?
Yeah, I'll put the clock in there.
It's going to be like a chicken leg going around.
I don't think I've ever managed to keep any of my chats down to 60 seconds. This is going to be hard.
Well, as long as your dinner will stay warm.
That's true. Yeah. No, firstly, thanks everyone in the chat. Obviously, great to see everybody in tonight. Really, really busy chat as usual. So thanks everybody, and obviously great to see you all. Obviously enjoyed tonight as always, and the debate on Wilshere was really good. Actually, I quite enjoyed having a bit of a back and forth about that. I think it's going to be an interesting.
Gary didn't.
Gary didn't know.
You guys calling me out. I thought you were supposed to be my friend, Stan. Needless to say, he's like sitting there, like just beating me up.
I don't do it to be vicious or anything, but I can't agree with something just for the sake of agreeing, or else.
No. We're not going to agree on this one. We've already established that.
And you know what? That's fine. That's
once again, it's like in Kenny. I want him to succeed. I just, I'm wary of it. Very wary of it.
But no, I think we've got. I think we've got an interesting few weeks to go. I think this pre-season is going to be just one to watch and see how they work things out. Like Stan says, I think I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. Just hoping that we keep everyone fit. It goes reasonably smoothly from that perspective. Performances, yes, you want them to do well, but just as long as everybody stays fit, ready for the new season, and we start to see a few more additions over the next few weeks. I think it's gone a bit quiet because, to be honest, they're working on things, and we seem to be quite good at keeping things out of the media and letting the Twitter accounts and all of the people that pretend to be in the know think that they know all these deals are going ahead, and then suddenly something completely different will happen and blow it out of the water. So, yeah, I think there'll be some
movement. 60 seconds is up.
Thanks for reminding me. I told you I can't do it. It's impossible. I can't do it. My mind doesn't do 60 seconds. But yeah, I think we've just got to hold tight, fly by the seat of our pants, and just see what happens. But I think there'll be some surprising deals that come through. But looking forward to it. Are some of these games going to be? Are we going to be able to watch them through the Arsenal website, or how does that work? Does anybody know? With this pre-season tour, how are we going to be able to watch any of the games?
I don't know how they could have charged you for Germany, but not for the US games, which are going to be bigger. So I'd be surprised that you guys will get it for free.
It'd be interesting to know how we can watch those games. I would like to see some if we can.
Did Tony say stop? The countdown.
Yes, the countdown.
Hopefully,
the answers.
I know this question. Come on.
Where's Susie Dent? Where's Carol Vorderman?
I used to like her numbers. I used to like playing with her numbers.
Should I use my lifeline? Use your lifeline, Matt.
There's your time, Matt. Up. It's roast chicken, right? All right, Garrett, Tony, go. Last word, final word.
Final word. Not really that excited about what names we're hearing. Doesn't really fit the needs we need. We need a defensive midfielder, especially depending on what happens to Partey. Then you hear people like, oh, Torreira's staying. Then just a few hours later, you hear, no, he's been offered to Juventus. We need to get players out the door. We haven't got enough of these players out yet. Do you really want to see Hector Bellerin for another year?
What is it? All these sound effects we're getting.
Make it quick, Tony. Come on. Mr. Tom's waiting. He's got that backstage pass. Mr. Tom's waiting on you, Tony.
Anyway, we've got plenty of business to do before the season starts. Go out there and do it. Yay.
And that's how it is exciting for Arsenal during the summer window. All right. We'll see you. Go check out the trip tomorrow with Gary and his crew. Tony, Gary and Tony, they're like the couple.
Couple of what?
Mr.
Stan,
Tom.
man, come on, dude, be my friend.
Hit the like on the way out if you haven't done already. Subscribe if you haven't done already, and get us
Good
up
night,
there
everyone.
toward 500.
Thumbs up.
And come see us on Thursday for the Thursday Night Forum. We're out of here, and I've got Neil Diamond in my head. I've got lots of things in my head that I can't share, but Neil Diamond is one of them. We're coming to America. See you out there.